I was lucky to be there, and that's how we should always remember it as well.
I think a lot of people felt that way, and I felt lucky to watch it. Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion. My name is Brando, episode number 516. Welcome back to the podcast, Mr. Jason Veal. How are you, sir?
Very tired. But it's to be expected after yesterday. I think I've had about 4 hours sleep, but I'm super happy to be back. Love chatting to you. Love watching the videos as well, and the podcasts, and checking out all the Instagram and Facebook posts that you guys are doing right now. So yeah, super happy, man.
The last time you were on, did I try the veal joke? Did I do that? Or was
No,
that
but
just
you probably did. But let's do it anyway. Come on, that was like episode 400 and something, and we're on 500 and something now. People have forgotten. Don't worry, do it. Let's go.
So a little catch up. So Jason here, just I'm grateful as a listener, a follower of Appetite for Distortion and myself. And when I was doing more consistently these fan reviews, and let me just start off by saying I'm sorry I haven't been able to do them because some of you have been reaching out to me and I miss doing them, talking to my fellow Guns N' Roses fans all over the world, but it's quiet here right now. You know what that means? My son is not here right now. So my Harrison Rex baby brownstone has kind of made it very difficult to coordinate all these around the time zones. Especially, it's one thing if these shows were here in America, which hopefully they will be at some point for myself, but I miss talking to all of you in different time zones. So right here, wait, it's 3 o'clock right now, Jason. Where is it by you? What time is it by you? It's
So we're in the UK, and it's 8:15 in the evening.
okay. So not
Yeah.
bad, not bad.
No, no, it's not horrific.
But this normally is around Harrison nap time. And that's I can't mess with that. So Jason was on 405 and shout out to Amy, the long
Yeah.
COVID rock star on Instagram that they were talking about the Hyde Park London review and you went to a couple of recent shows in addition to the
Yeah.
Ozzy one. But what were the recent shows you were at as well?
So went to 23rd of June in Villa Park, which is in Aston, which is part of Birmingham in the UK. And that's how we say it, just so everyone's very clear. If they're from America, you say Birmingham. Can you,
Birmingham.
that's it. It's not Birmingham in a
Birmingham.
weird.
I probably would say if you didn't say it first, because I'm the
Yeah.
master of screwing up names anyway. Birmingham. Jesus. I'm somebody, I don't know if this will register to you, but maybe to those who, as I'm wearing my Yankees hat, when I moved up to Massachusetts to do start radio, professional radio career, I called it Worcester, and it's
Nice.
Worcester, and it's
Oh
Worcester.
yeah, but that's
Worcester.
actually the real one is actually just up the road here.
The real, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Right? I'd say
It's actually
yes.
between Bristol, where I'm based, and Birmingham, which is where I saw Guns the other day in Villa Park. Which, by the way, I know we'll just quickly touch on it, was incredible. It was one of the best shows.
My wife and I were talking about going abroad to see one of these shows, and I'm jealous of you and those wherever country I know they're in the UK now and South America and Asia and all these places that they're really playing well, and that's going to
Yeah.
lead into
So
our conversation later. But anything else you want to talk about? Just the shows that you went to recently.
So yeah, that was incredible because I actually splurged out or spent a bit more money and
Hmm.
bought the Golden Circle tickets. Because luckily at work they give us if we get like employee of the month type of thing, they give us vouchers, and I've won it quite a few times,
Nice.
and bought myself vouchers with that. So it's Ticketmaster, as we call it in the UK, the devil.
I
Um,
think it's I
the
think it's
tax
common
devil.
language here
Yeah. Oh,
in the
good.
States
Yeah.
too.
So yeah, so I bought two tickets, one for myself and one for Victoria, my girlfriend, and we went for Golden Circle, and we were three people from the front, which was just incredible. I got some great photos, great videos, but more importantly, like fantastic memories of it. And I just want to put it out there because today, on the day after the Sabbath gig, you've just put an Instagram post out, which I highly recommend everyone to tweet. Your one about Axel haters. Have you got it there? Can you read
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Well, I want to say it from memory almost. I'm like, if
Okay, go for it. Yeah.
just there's two words, and I've been watching because I'm the Simpsons. If I didn't do a podcast about the Guns N' Roses, it would have been about Simpsons, or I know I did a horror one, whatever. Get bent, just get bent. you're trying to just dismiss, and we're gonna get into this later when we talk about GNR. All this guy has done, his careers, his songs that will live on forever, for as long as Earth is here intact, before whether humans destroy it ourselves, the dinosaurs come back, a meteorite destroys the planet. Guns N' Roses and Axl's voice and his words, his lyrics will live on. How you doing? How the fuck you doing? Sorry, I had to
That's
get
it.
out the fuck
No,
it.
no, man.
Yeah, how you
It's
doing in your
it's
life?
it's always annoyed me. When I saw your message today, I was like, yeah, fucking yeah. But anyway, he was happy, fit, singing really well, and just enjoying it. And it's a massive thing. Like he even stopped during one song, pulled his in ears out, and was like, "I'm really sorry if I go out of key, get out of breath right now." It's sort of very early on. Words to this effect. He's like, "I'm just so happy." He's like, "I've never had a sound this good and enjoyed it this good in 40 years." And I was like, what a different Axl Rose to, 1991 and all those years that I saw him then when he didn't turn up for 3 hours and was pissed off with everybody. And
Mhm.
yeah, okay, he sings different. He's like 60 odd years old. I mean, I'm a fan, but I never know how old people are. But but he's enjoying it and he's loving it. And he really came across at that gig, like big time.
So I went into, you told me, you gave me some feedback through Instagram, and you and many others I'm very grateful for, who've been keeping me, even though I haven't been doing fan reviews, you've been sending me videos and pictures, whether it's through DMs or posting on my posts or commenting on my post, keeping me up to date with what's going on. So it got me excited, like, oh, I finally get to see some Guns N' Roses with this Black Sabbath gig, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, wow, what a day for all of
Um,
us who love rock and roll and heavy metal. This is something that we, not just Ozzy deserves. I just feel like as fans, we deserve to show the world rock isn't dead. Fuck you, Gene Simmons.
so right
Sorry,
now,
I'm gonna curse a
you,
lot here.
you've given me goosebumps just saying that, man. Like it genuinely. So I can't even remember how to pronounce it. Back to the beginning. Here's a
Yeah, yeah.
t-shirt, the Aussie t-shirt. Back to
The
the
Ozzy
beginning.
shirt you're wearing.
It was. It wasn't just about. It sounds really weird. It wasn't just about Aussie or Black Sabbath. It was about this mass thing of heavy metal and rock and everything that those guys started in a small, I might offend people now, but it used to be a small, really shitty place.
Hmm.
It was hard, man, and it's well known for that.
Yeah,
And they've got out and they made millions of records and millions of people's lives changed. You and I, we wouldn't be sat here now if it wasn't for this. You wouldn't have all those great posters behind you if it wasn't for a few bands and one of them being Black Sabbath. I know they're Guns N' Roses posters, but it's how they influence people. And I know right now, sitting here with you, and actually I've been to a gig today of my friends, and I wore this t-shirt and I got stopped so many times and everyone asked me about it. And the one thing I said to everyone was, I was lucky to be there. And that's how we should always remember it as well.
I think a lot of people felt that way, and I felt lucky to watch it.
Yeah.
This is gonna be part of the story. I kept trying to get Harrison to watch it, and that was, like herding cats. I mean, it's just the
So
equivalent
you're
of trying
saying
to get.
herding cats, mine's just come in. So we might
Oh,
be on it in a minute. Yeah.
right on, right on. My wife and I already talking about getting a new one at some point.
Yeah, sorry to
She's
hear
like,
that, man.
do you want an orange cat and name it Axel? I'm like, I don't know if I can just flat out do that. If it happens, because we're at the shelter and we find it, sure. But I'll keep you guys updated on our cat search when it begins. But you know what? You're talking about all the Guns N' Roses stuff, of course, behind
Yeah.
me now. But I did have a Black Sabbath poster in my college dorm room. I did. I had the very generic one that I probably bought in Spencer Gifts or Hot Topic. I don't know if you've had those similar,
We don't, but I know what you mean. It would
those
have been
kind of shows.
Woolworths.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'll never forget this. You reminded me of this story. And I'm still friends with my college roommate. This was where I had a few roommates during my college years, but this was maybe my sophomore year or whatever. And I didn't know this kid. I was already a sophomore or junior, and I had some of my posters up on the wall, and one of them was Black Sabbath. And this kid, Mark, he told me after, and we became friends. Nothing was an issue. But he was so religious. When he walked in and saw Black Sabbath, he's like, "Oh my God, who am I living with?" He was like, I was terrified. And the little dorky me walks in. He's like, oh, okay. He's a Jew. He's fine, So,
it's
but
fun.
yeah, Black Sabbath.
It's
Yeah. And then my dad, it's a memory, not like the best memory on my part, but he bought me one year like an entire Ozzy CD collection because he knew I loved Ozzy. But I'm like, that's a lot of CDs. I don't know. Like, I love Ozzy, but am I gonna do I love him that much? And I didn't show like I was so young. I didn't show the right appreciation for it, but I remember it. Because he's like he knew I loved Ozzy. So I mean,
no,
my
wow.
my love for Ozzy and Sabbath goes as deep as I'm sure every single rock and metal fan. And yeah, and
It's
yesterday as we record this proves it. So sorry, I cut you off. I had to like.
no, it's right. It's actually a dad story as well. When I got into Sabbath was through my dad.
Mm,
He brought in. I was into Metallica and all sorts of things. I'm 48 years old, so it was quite a long time ago. The Black album had just come out, or was just coming out, and all that type of stuff. I didn't know who Ozzy was, and he brings in this record, and he's like, "And a record, you should listen to this." And my dad was like Stones and Robin Trower and ELO and all that sort of stuff, and he's like, "I've got this," and he puts it on, and he gets the needle, and the older guys will all know this, and there's that, and you hear the dust, and suddenly there's the rain and the bell, and I just thought, what the fuck is this? What is he putting on? Like, where are we going? Is this like Tubular Bells or something? And then Tony, boom, with his guitar. I've never been scared listening to music. I was terrified at that moment and hooked. And that was
yeah,
it.
a beauty.
Yeah.
And I
So
still
right on
remember.
for dads, right?
Right on for dads. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure because I've talked about how he got me through, listening through classic rock radio, which Ozzy was all over. I remember the first time I heard Crazy Train. To me, that
Yeah.
was the greatest guitar I've ever heard. And that was
Mm,
not
yeah.
not to me, to millions of people. I'm like, whoa, like what is this? And just flash forward years later, with another one of my college roommates, when the Osbournes was first rumored to be a TV show, him and I, just being music fans, were excited. This was before he was like a celebrity, like,
Yeah.
crossing genres. Oh, like wow, who like, and it just we've been fans for all our life, and just to see the send off again, we're getting ahead of ourselves because
Yeah. Sorry.
no, no, sorry, this is because I'm excited to talk about it as we all are because this is an event that we all will remember, except for maybe my son. So, so today as we're recording this, they're gone for a week, and as you know, everything they say about being a parent is true. I'm already going through like just withdrawal of them not being here because they're at a dance retreat because my wife's a dance teacher for little kids, and rather than leave him here with me for a week, go with her to a water park for a week. I think that probably makes more sense. But yesterday I was like, all right, my wife works, she teaches dance in the morning, so a lot that happens a lot where I got to wake up Harrison and all that stuff. And I didn't know I wanted to watch the whole thing. I wanted to tweet along. I wanted to share all this, but my son's a priority. So it's just so funny as it's starting. I'm like, oh, I've never seen Mastodon before. I'm excited to see them. It's interesting with all the current, the band member splits and all that, the mudslinging in the news. Harrison decides to take the biggest shit, and I missed their entire set. I'm just like, whatever. I'm getting ahead of myself now because all I can keep thinking about is like that's was most of my experience watching this was watching him. But I want to talk. So, but that's I don't know if people want to hear that. They want to hear your experience because you actually
Yeah.
went and before I let you go about like when you made the decision and all that, I almost got the shirt too because they were selling one online. Not
Oh
the
yeah.
same, not the same one because yours is cool. It shows like Ozzy back in the day,
Yeah.
putting up his the kind of the peace fingers. But the one that they showed was just like the back they were selling online to all of the people watching was just the back at the beginning, the Black Sabbath, their portraits, their whatever. So my wife is like, "You're gonna buy a shirt of a show you didn't go to?" And I just felt like a loser, so I just didn't buy it. But I might have bought it if it was, I don't know. I like the
I
shirt
thought you
you're
were about
wearing.
to say you suddenly got a divorce.
No, 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 not at all. No, when she came home, she was
You're like, hey, I bought it. You're like, go on.
no. I appreciate her honesty, if anything. No, and she was because it's funny. Almost in preparation for this show, we've been binge watching the Osbournes. the actual show,
Yeah.
as I just mentioned. So it's on Tubi
So,
and Paramount Plus. But whatever. Enough of me and the TV. There's more about that. So yeah, how did you get tickets? It sold out in 16 minutes, right? Something like
yeah.
that.
So starting from back then, there was 11 of us. 11 of us who decided that we needed to go, we needed to be part of this. And like, we're all Sabbath fans, let's go, blah, blah, right? So
So you
we all
went to
get
with
together.
a group of 11?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And we all said, like, let's just try and get tickets. If someone gets through, just buy two. So everyone was on the just buy two, and then, if I've got one but the other people haven't, we'll just sort it out. So some people might go, some people won't. So we had this big group chat of 11 people, and I think there was a pre-sale, a pre-sale, a pre-sale of everything, right? There was like days of it, and we were on the very first pre-sale day, and I was a number 132 in the queue. And I was like, oh my God, nailed it, done. They must know. They must know. They must have looked on my phone and see how many times on Spotify I've played, I don't know, Hand of Doom or some deep cut, and then all the Aussie tracks. They're like, yeah, this guy's an Aussie freak in the nicest possible way. Um,
Wow.
and it didn't get through. And we all of us kept trying. First day, second day, third day, fourth day, and I think then it went on to general sale. Now, of course, everyone's moaning about ticket prices. They're thousands of pounds. They're 4 grand. They're a couple of £100 to just stupid money.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't care. We were
Wow.
like, let's go all in. Now, I'm not like being flash and load of money and all that. I don't mean it like that. We just didn't care. We had to be there. And it's a 2 hour drive from where I live in the UK. It's easy to get to. We have to be there. And none of us got tickets. Not
Mm.
one of us. And whilst on
Huh.
this group chat and basically being pissed about it, the bass player in one of the bands that I play in a covers band, along with an originals band, and the guy in the covers band, LJ, dropped me a text and it just said keen. And at that moment, I was spewing. I'm like, God damn it, whatever. I can look at your message later. And then he sent me a picture, and it was a picture of a screenshot. He bought two tickets, and he's like, "Hey, do you fancy going to this Black Sabbath gig? Like, I went online this morning and I had a look, and 30 seconds I was in, and I bought two tickets. I just kind of thought you might want to go." I was like, "Yes." I've never answered a text so fast in my life, and so he got tickets. And he was gracious enough or sensible enough, whichever way you want to put it, to offer me that ticket. So I technically didn't get one, but I bought it from
Wow.
him, and then we went. Yeah. So then, to be fair, all my other friends, I've known them for years. And I talked about them last time. I've known them since I was like 7, and we go to gigs regularly together still. And they all turned around and said, "Yeah, we'd have loved to have gone, but you are the biggest Sabbath and Aussie fan that we know. You had to go." So it was just written, right?
Oh, that's good. Those are good friends.
Yeah.
Because they knew like, all right, we all want to go, but Jason, he's
Yeah.
the guy. He's the guy. So that's cool. There's probably a lot of stories like that. It is. It makes you wonder because at the beginning, back to the beginning, I don't know. They didn't announce that this was going to be a live stream because how many people from
No.
all across the world, not just you, who's
Yeah.
2 hour drive locally closer, people who can want to be there, who are
Well,
just like you, who
like
aren't.
great example of it, man. You're across the other side of the water, thousands and thousands of miles away, and 8 hours time difference. They had to do it. They knew they were doing it.
Yeah,
Sharon's not an idiot.
they probably were like, all right, let's not announce this part of it yet. Let's get people to buy tickets first, and then let's do this. And as somebody who, I like how we're doing this. We're with somebody who was there and somebody who was not, watched it. I bought a ticket like just the day before. Again, my wife made fun of me for thinking about a t-shirt. But I couldn't wait. So I set my alarm, but because you never know with me. Am I going to sleep in? My son going to wake me up? No, he was my alarm that morning. I signed
What
in.
time did it start on your side? Sorry.
So here's the thing. Here's the
Yeah.
interesting thing. And I do not from like experience. I obviously did not work this event, but somebody who has worked live radio broadcasts or even television broadcasts with iHeartRadio and other different broadcasting companies where it is a correspondence between live and tape and there is a delay. So my over here started at 10 a.m. And I think it started at around 3 p.m. your time, I believe.
No, it kicks
No?
off. It kicks off at 1 p.m.
1
And
p.m.
I think there was a delay for. I think it was a couple of hours delayed, so that'll
That's
make it three. Yeah,
right.
makes
So I'm
sense.
not making up for the delay.
No,
I'm
no.
screwed up for the delay right now. So there was a delay. So the only and I get it because if you're going to do a broadcast of this magnitude, to do it live,
Yeah,
so many things can go wrong. And there were glitches that did happen, and I'll get into that, but so many things can go wrong. It just sucked knowing that was seeing fan videos of all these bands and all these things happening before getting to enjoy it. And I wanted to be like a
yeah,
world event, so we're all enjoying it together. But you know what? You guys in there deserve to see it first. So that was my only, if you want to call it a
yeah.
gripe.
And I suppose that's the what do you call it? The blessing and curse of the modern world, right? The
Right.
modern world, in the sense of not to get political in any way, but when they got Osama bin Laden, the first person to announce it was The Rock on a tweet. Yeah, like,
I
and
forgot
before,
about that. It was him.
yeah, do you remember? Like, I
I
don't know. That's a prime example of stuff happens now so fast on the internet. Even if it was live, there would still be that satellite delay of a couple of minutes, right? A couple of minutes. It goes up, it goes here, there, and everywhere.
Sure.
And in that time, someone has to go, "Oh my God, look at this!" Because that's the 30-second world we live in, right?
Yeah. And just even with the technical stuff, not just with and it happens, throughout the show, tweets being made and memes
Yeah.
being made and all that stuff, but just the technical side of it. So I thought it was very simple, the interface, and very just well put, the interface of the back to the beginning.com. There was
Yeah.
a chat to the side, and
Oh,
at the
okay.
at the bottom, I wasn't sure what it was at first, but you can record yourself for like a few seconds, and it would show people watching, and
Oh,
which
wow.
was really, really, I thought that was cool. It made you feel like, okay, these are real people. I'm assuming they weren't AI people, all around the world also watching. And in between the acts, after Mastodon, when I was wiping my hands and cleaning my son up, I there are interviews with fans that they're
Oh, right.
doing. So there was it was so well produced that because
Yes.
that's if it was live, it takes time, of course, because you can tell me how much time was between each act,
You
and
know
I'm
what?
sure very different when watching it for me than to experience it
So
for you.
just quickly go back. The
Hmm.
interviews, were they with people watching it live or the people physically live in the arena? Just curiosity, because I've
Wait,
not seen the live feed.
say that again. The first part. I'm
So
sorry.
it's okay. When you were watching it live, you said there were some interviews. Were those
Oh.
interviews with people like yourself, or were they with people in the event?
They would be people. It's like they went around to like businesses, like I think around in the town. They went to this local tattoo shop. I want to say
Ah,
it's local, but I just remember this because the guy was talking about tattoos and he had Sabbath tattoos and he was talking about we got him in the days where tattoos meant you were dangerous. I don't want to hang out with that guy. And now we all got him. Not like my.
I was going to say, look, well, you mean we've all got them? I
I
got
know,
none. It's the
I know.
weirdest thing ever.
I know that's what it is, but it's not like my Woodstock tattoo of peanuts is dangerous. But I mean now everybody has tattoos. I don't feel different anymore. Well, I guess mine are weird enough to be different. But anyway, so they would do that. They would also very short vignettes of like 15 seconds of fans thanking Ozzy and thanking Black
Oh,
Sabbath, saying "I love you, you changed my life," and it was it was cool to watch. It was cool to see. It wasn't just some sort of commercial. Of course,
oh, great.
they had promotions for the hospitals that they were donating to, which I thought was great. I don't know. By the time we're recording this, Sharon has not announced the band that she kicked off because that band or this
Oh,
artist wanted money for themselves, and this
I've
apparently
heard.
this
I
like
have heard.
you haven't heard
That's
that?
no, I have heard who it
Oh,
was.
you have heard of what it was?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Well, the rumor was it was Volbeat.
I haven't heard that, so maybe it is. Oh,
I
that
mean,
would
maybe
be.
it's true, maybe it's not. Maybe we're breaking news. Maybe we're just breaking future friendships. Who
Oh,
knows?
I mean, I don't know how much of a source either of us are on
Yeah,
this, but I
exactly.
mean, because Kelly already responded that it's not Dave Mustaine. Oh, by the way, Mazel Tov, Kelly Osbourne, who got proposed to
Yeah.
by Sid from Slipknot backstage. I mean, just what an event. So let me go into. So when did you get there on time? Where?
Yeah, so
Okay, go ahead.
just to backtrack on something you said there, and we were talking about the in between bands and how long it took. I've never been to such a fast running, fast packed show ever.
Mm.
It started like the running order that we all saw online that everybody posted, tweeted, etc. about was the one that everybody had on their phone looking at because they didn't tell you who was coming on at what time. And it started with Mastodon, and it was like 5 minutes early, 5 minutes early to what they said. Actually, as you mentioned, Sid there, he was live DJing on the stage the entire day.
Oh, really? I know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was live DJing some like, Van Halen into, I don't know, some dance beat type of thing, typical Sid stuff. And that was really cool. And he was projected on the big screens either side before the bands would start. And then Mastodon, for example, logo would appear, they would play. And then when they finished, there was no messing about. There was no coming out, taking pictures. It was thanks, bye, off
Hmm.
for every band. And then, if you can imagine, you're looking at the backdrop would rise up, and then the stage would turn 180, and the new band would be there. The backdrop would come down, and it was less than 6 minutes per gap between
That's
bands.
that's brilliant. And
Well,
what
yeah,
was
it's just fantastic.
great is that sometimes they would show you that on the live feed.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And that's fast. No,
Sorry,
don't
everyone.
please don't you have to apologize for that. For
Yeah,
you to
you
be
got to
able to
remember,
see
I've
that.
definitely not watched the live feed. So,
Well, it's good for those who haven't watched it yet, but the
yeah,
fact that you see that and I was able to, and that they showed that again. It was very
yeah.
well produced, and I don't know what credit goes to Tom Morello, who was the musical director of all this, and who was the stage production. But I think all around was fantastic, even down to the countdown to Mastodon on the live feed
Ah,
was Black Sabbath's last show in 2013 or whatever it was, and them saying goodbye and everything. And I just thought that was just as
yeah.
background waiting music. Nothing was more appropriate. That was their goodbyes, so to speak. Now without Bill Ward, so thankfully we got him back for this time around. So
So
yeah,
they did
Mass.
actually run. They did actually run VTs like that in the stadium as well.
Okay, right
Yeah, so
on.
that was really cool, and everyone was loving it and clapping and laughing and cheering.
Oh, okay, they did. Okay, see, I
Did did
love
they
that.
did they actually show the VTs of Ozzy as well? The
Not
comical ones.
not that I remember.
Ah, okay. So Ozzy always used to do at Ozfest and his shows. You always used to have a couple of weird adverts or things like Alanis Morissette, video where she's driving the car and isn't it ironic, etc., etc. Full video, you think it's her because it is. And then it cuts to her, she's wearing a green jumper and then the red jumper, and then there's another one of her in the back in the yellow. And then it cuts to Ozzy dressed as Alanis Morissette. And he's like Ozzy taking the piss. It's like different things like that. There was the Matrix one and all sorts, and they run loads and loads of those. I was really hoping it was on the live feed in
Oh, I
between
I
because
think
they
I
were
would
just
remember that.
hilarious. Yeah, they were just really funny.
Now, the thing he did that was funny after mentioning
Mm.
Kelly getting proposed to because the video was filmed of that happening. As soon as he gets down on one knee, Ozzy goes, "You're not fucking marrying my daughter." He fucking ruins,
Yeah,
not ruins, but I mean, the Ozzy eyes the whole thing.
yeah.
So brilliant. So Mastodon, I mean, I kind
Yeah.
of heard them, to the background. Did you enjoy their set?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not on the heavy side, although I'm massively into Sabbath. Like some Mastodon, Lamb of God, that type of thing is not where I sit nowadays per se.
Same, yeah, same.
And so I've heard them a few times. I've checked them out a few times. I wouldn't say I turn them on all the time, but I don't turn it off if it comes on Spotify or whatever. But they came on. They did two of their own songs, and then they did a Sabbath cover. But it really set the tone for the day, and it was great because everybody didn't really know what to expect. How many are people playing just Sabbath songs or just their own songs? Are they playing three hits and then they're off?
Right.
And then Sabbath are just playing Sabbath songs at the end, obviously. But no, they came on, and then three random drums appeared, and you had the drummer from Gojira, Slipknot, and Tool. I mean, amazing. And as soon as obviously you saw it, but as they come out and they started drumming, it really set the tone for we're not just at a Mastodon, a Tool gig or whatever. This is different, and this is, shit's just got real. And it really amped everybody up from the very first band that played.
Right on. You know what? And I'm gonna do it like that with setting the stage because if I go through each band, even with just like a quick little review, we're gonna be here forever.
Yeah,
But I do want to mention the because I don't know where I first saw it. It was that lineup that was leaked the day before that just like drop it like it's hot. It's like I really try to be the one that just doesn't want to be first. Is this real? Or if I do post it and I'm not sure, I let you know. I don't know if this is real. So I let people, this is not confirmed. It looks pretty good. I don't know. Because I do get caught with those sometimes, but I'm always open and honest. So hopefully I do my best. But with that schedule that I leaked, it shows you the way that we are all linked in our brain. Like it's just such a common thought process. Because the first word in the time said doors. And I'm like, the Doors are gonna be there? And everyone started thinking that. I'm like, well, John Densmore is still alive, Robbie Krieger is still alive. We could do this, but obviously not the Doors. So Mastodon was great.
yeah.
Was did a great job. Rival Sons, I've never had a
Ah,
chance to see them.
just incredible. They supported
Brilliant
Guns N'
set.
Roses currently. Never seen them live. They came out, and I've never heard a band so big. They just sound huge. And there's a keyboard player and a guitar player that have a lot to do with that. And they have that huge amount of, Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant inspired lead singer with his suit and no socks and shoes on. It was just rock and roll. And their cover, just go and check it out. It was great.
I want because them. Well said.
Mm.
Because they're them and Hailstorm, and I
Yeah.
know, and I'm jumping around because again,
Yes.
I'm getting. I'm too excited because I want to go through each band, but again, I don't know. Does anyone want to listen to me for 2, 3 hours talking about this? I want to try to keep this within a nice little hour,
Mm.
cap. We'll see what happens. But there's certain bands here like Rival Sons and Hailstorm, which I'll get to in a second, that I really hope the world saw and
Yeah.
see that rock is in the right hands. Rival Sons fucking killed it. If going back way back, I don't. It was like I think it was episode 84. Mike Miley, the drummer, was on talking about baseball, talking about Axel, and so just a great band, and they deserve to be on that bill. But I'd be remiss because yes, Mastodon set the tone. To go back to that, but Jason Momoa, how great of a host was he? How appropriate
Yeah.
of a host was he? Because he has the confidence to do everything, but he is a fan and uh, what was that experience like? Because I think he came out after Mastodon to kind of like introduce the world to what's going on, right?
Yeah. So when this was announced, and hey, look, this is what we're doing. It's a massive thing. Sabbath. These are all the bands. I literally turned to my mate and went, "Jason Momoa is going to be there." He's like, "What?" It's like Jason Momoa is the biggest. He's a huge Sabbath fan, right? He's as big as anybody else that was there, as in a fan wise. But he's notoriety. A lot of people know who he is, even if they're not Jason Momoa. Hey, it's Aquaman. Yeah, and for him to be the compare for the day was a great choice. But I do think he should have come out before the Mastodon. I do think he was having far too much fun. Uh, to be fair, he was just loving it. And to see, by the way, I've never seen a man change so much in my entire life. He had so many t-shirts and outfit
Oh,
changes
did
and
he?
hats. Yeah, every time we saw him, he had a different outfit or jewelry on or something. But that's TV stuff, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's funny.
but he loved it, and he was personified what the real true fan that was there, and I mean the true fans because they're and not the gatekeeping, but some people who were there were just there because it was oh, I'm into rock and heavy metal, tick, I got a ticket, and some people that's all they've ever listened to, um, and he's one of them. He lives and breathes Sabbath, rock and heavy metal, and he is a man that is in the public eye who isn't into Drake or Travis Scott or something like that. Sorry, I'm just pulling names out my ass because I'm not into that music. But he's not that type of person, which is popular music, and he flies the flag for us.
Who's that actor? Is it Javier Bardem recently? Speaking about because there was something about he went viral. He was filmed at a Judas Priest concert, just like rocking out, going crazy, and he was interviewed on Fallon about it, and just talking about all the bands that he loves, and that's what you want to see. That's why it
Yeah,
just makes me so angry. All the rock is dead, all this stuff, and you see the shittiest music at the top of the charts. It's like why, when there's all this amazing music exists. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to go off on another tangent
I was
here.
going to say we're two old men shouting at clouds at the moment, aren't we?
I know. I got the whole. I'm a combination of Grandpa Simpson and
Yeah.
like an angry Tony Danza. How you doing? I don't know. Um, so I also want to go through the band still quickly, just because
Yeah.
it'll help set up. Because I was like, I'm very fortunate to have had some of these people on the podcast, like Mike Miley. Anthrax, of course, killed it.
Oh,
Lucky to
yeah.
have had Frank Bello, Scott Ian, and Charlie Benanti on the podcast. Charlie should be coming back on with Carla Harvey,
Oh,
and
wow.
they both have been guests separately. So the fact is they have now a new project together. So I'm working on getting them together. And Anthrax, I mean, my God, that's just like an ageless show to watch Scott Ian and all those boys do their thing.
Does Scotty and age? I think Scotty and Nuno Bettencourt and Geezer Butler are actually just vampires.
Giza looked great. Nuno, I mean, my
God, yeah.
God, looks as handsome as ever. It was probably a handsome off between him and Jason Momoa. Lamb of God, I'm with you. It's not my type of vocals, but I respect the hell out of them. You
People
know,
loved it.
uh,
People were again. I was like, okay, cool. It's like 3 o'clock already. I'm like chilling, but people were loving it and respect to them. Get involved if that's your thing. Just jump up and down, sit down, be quiet. Whatever makes you happy watching the band you want to do, just get involved and do it, man.
right on. And to see Mark Morton, who's been on the podcast before, who's credited Slash with helping him get sober, by making it look cool. And Slash has celebrated 19 years of
I
sobriety,
saw that with
which
Megan
is
posted it. That's incredible.
absolutely amazing. Just to think of what that guy almost dying several times, and now he's addicted to playing, which is a good thing to be addicted to. Uh, the super group, bro, like
Ah,
that first super group.
yeah.
I gotta look it up. Like which was super group A, super group B. I think super group A was that what the one with Dave Draymond, or was that the one before? Oh no, that was the one with the guy from Ghosts, right?
Yes, yeah. So,
Tobias. He always
so
changes his name, but like
I
Tobias.
might have to sort of put the two supergroup things together,
You can. That's
if I'm
fine.
honest, because it was an outstanding. Excuse me. It was an outstanding idea. If it was Tom Morello's idea, brilliant idea. Bring everyone who can do a couple of songs, play a little bit out, and just keep the crowd energy going. And we mentioned on Vampire Number One, Nuno Bettencourt. He absolutely crushed it and carried that. Oh God, he was the one of the star players of the day. And I don't mean players of like MVPs. I think you call it in the states.
Yeah, and that's a
And
good way of putting it. Like he was
yeah,
kind of like the all-star MVP. He was
yeah, and
doing
he
everything.
really
Yeah.
was. Like he came out, and it's the first time I've seen Extreme, and I've seen Extreme in the '90s, and very recently, like a year or so ago, and I'm going to see him now in like this couple of months. But he came out, and he was Nuno Bettencourt, but just turned down a little bit. And not like physically turn him down, but just like if he's like 100%, we're going to turn him down to like 80%. And he just locked in with the drummer and he played and if somebody else was doing a solo, Nuno was just like, yeah, cool, man. I'll play rhythm. I'll just stand over here. Hey, Ronnie Wood, are you playing solo? Yeah, no worries, man. And it was amazing to see. And talking of Ronnie Wood, I think that was actually later in Supergroup B. But
So
that,
yeah, I have the list in front of
yeah.
me. But
Yeah,
before I
what was
can't
the first
believe
one?
I jumped ahead too. I have to backtrack to Hailstorm. I have to do
Okay,
that for
yes.
the super because Lizzie Hale is amazing. I definitely, before I'm happily married, had the biggest crush on her. I don't. They should be, in my opinion, a way bigger rock band than they are, and they're already successful. Her voice is like she should be everywhere. She should be
Yeah,
like what Dave Grohl was when he was everywhere. Uh, she should be like that. I just thought she
I
killed the
second.
ultimate sin. She nailed their songs, of course. She's on my bucket list of people to interview. So I guess
So
I had to
I'm
get that in
glad
there.
I'm glad you've gone back to her because I saw her for the first time at Download a few years ago when Metallica headlined, and again heard knew who they were. Was like, yeah, that's cool, and she came out there and just within the first seconds of vocals killed it, and I was like, oh my god, I've got to watch this woman. And then when they came out at this show, I knew what I was expecting. I'd seen it, you know, I've seen her do this, that, and the other. I've seen her sing with Skid Row. I love
Oh,
Sebastian Bach to death. Loved Eric when I saw him, but she crushed. Oh my God, she was amazing in Skid Row. If the listeners of or the watchers have not seen it, pause it, go and watch her playing with Skid Row, and come back to us chatting nonsense. She was epic. But she came out and did their songs great, and then she again twisted it, and we didn't know what was happening. And they covered Perry Mason by Ozzy because
yeah.
we were all thinking, oh, everyone's going to do a Black Sabbath cover. But it's not. It's Ozzy and Black Sabbath. And they did Perry Mason. They did a really good job of it.
That's right. That's right. With Hailstorm, she did Perry Mason, which
That's
is
right. And then when she came out, obviously, with the supergroup,
the ultimate
um,
sin. There we go. I had to get
yeah,
both. So many lists in front of me and reading comments
yeah.
from
So, and
people.
then obviously, Jakey Lee. I mean, geez, as an Aussie fan, that's just like Jakey Lee.
Survivor.
Not only has got really bad arthritis, I think, in his hands nowadays, he doesn't play a lot. Then he gets shot. Before that, he Sharon hates him. So God, Jakey Lee's definitely not going to be at this. And there he is. He's standing on stage ripping it, and he lets Nuno play the full solo as well. And it was just the two of them, and Lizzie singing was just out of this world.
She was, but I have to reply because to this. You know what the picture I told you about before
Yeah, yeah,
of Axel and James Hetfield?
yeah.
He tweeted it.
What,
He
James? Or
no, Axel tweeted it. So
yeah,
this was
oh
a
my
big
God.
enough deal for him for Axel to tweet it. So whatever may or
Yeah,
may not have been between him, Axel Rose, and James Hetfield.
but they're two very
Holy
very different
crap.
people. They're two
You're
very
right.
different people now.
But you never
Like
know. People hold on to gripes.
yeah,
There are plenty of those that do. And I think Axel is just showing, and it's going when we get into the Guns N' Roses set, everyone's like, get to
yeah.
it. This episode's gonna be longer than an hour. I know it.
They're like, God, we hate Hailstorm. Just get on with it, you guys. Come
He's
on.
just, he's a like a role model at this point. It's crazy to say that. Like just
He's a very different person,
so
clearly, from our point of view.
yeah, we're excited. So let's get back to the supergroup because we're gonna go off on a GNR
Yeah.
tangent and then go back and forth. But the supergroup, just so if you're interested, Nuno Betancourt, like you talk about, Mike Borden, Dave Elfson, Lizzie Hale, Jakey Lee, who survived, getting shot. My God. I don't know your opinion. I like Jack Black. I know for some reason he's controversial. I think people need to get over it. He's just one of those like people like to hate him kind of thing.
So what I'm going to tell you about that moment was I don't know anything about the controversy of Jack Black. I don't really care, if I'm honest. I'm very much I take people on a lot of superficial maybe, but I don't know any of that stuff.
He's
Don't know
just
what
a
he did.
funny guy. Like,
Yeah,
did they have that up on the screen when he was
they
kind of like a
did.
school? Okay, it was
They
like a
did. Yeah.
School of
So
Rock situation.
so they had the two young lads that came out, Tom Morello's kid, to introduce it. I don't know if they showed that. They came out and they talked to the audience and they said thank you and here's our band basically. And then they played that on the screens and everyone's like, oh, that's bloody hell, that's great. Mr. Crowley, not a simple song, young lad starting on the keyboards. And then they panned past it and I was like, wow, they've set it up just like the old BBC footage, with the amps and the white or Randy amps and the black amp they had on the top. And then the back shot of some guy's head. And I thought, well, he's a bit older than those kids. Maybe it's the teacher. And then he turned around and everybody in the stadium burst out laughing. It was a rapturous laughter. And everywhere you look, people were in tears of laughter watching that.
I
It
love it.
was it was just genius. Yeah.
I've been a fan of Tenacious D, Jack
Yeah.
Black. I mean, he's been, God, I've been watching him in movies since when he was skinny, when he was a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah, when he had no beard and less hair, and yeah, a bit like we did when we had.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
I love him. He's somebody who's totally comfortable with who he is, and he's a great singer. He's That's why Tenacious D was is so good.
And again,
So
he's like Jason Momoa. He's a person of uh he's a celebrity, sorry.
right,
Yeah, he's a celebrity that's into the music that we're into, and he doesn't shy away from that.
the
Yeah,
only
and
right.
I know when he talks about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he said there's some kids out there now that can go out and get every single Aussie record and put that record on tonight for the first time. And that's fucking awesome. You don't realize how fucking great that is.
I know. So I mean, the Jack Black thing was surprising and just a nice bit of
Yeah.
entertainment and almost like a comedic relief, even though
Yeah.
he did it well. And the only, I guess, slight gripe, which I didn't think about until later, and as like the radio programmer in me, because as he did Mr. Crowley, Ozzy does it later. So it's just like
So
that
yeah.
happened a few times with songs. I'm like, all right, I got to hear the song. I mean, it's a great song, but it's like, okay, he has a big enough collection of songs that we couldn't have had no repeats. So whatever. So
But
Jack Black was,
that was actually the first thing we said when it
oh yeah,
finished. We're like, oh my god, wasn't that hilarious? Oh look, they've set the stage up great. How amazing Tom Morello's kid was playing the Randy part just perfectly. And then we went, oh, that means we're not getting Mr. Crowley.
oh,
That was the
interesting.
conversation. So that was in our mind ticked off the bingo card, right?
Oh wow, okay. So that's an interesting way to think about it. Okay, now Ozzy's not going to sing it. Now I
Yeah,
guess he did. Next was Alice in Chains. Never had a chance to see them live. Would
yeah.
love to. This during their set was the only time I experienced audio issues,
Oh,
where
okay.
it went out for like I don't know 2 minutes, and the chat room's freaking out. No audio, blah, 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 blah. And it got fixed pretty quickly. And there was even a command prompt saying sorry about the audio, refresh your page, make sure you're not on mute. So I just thought the whole presentation of it was still done very well. I haven't mentioned though, and I don't know, maybe because I was tweeting and surfing the web as they said back in the 90s, uh, while this was going on, so the feed would be choppy at times, but I think it was also just choppy at times. But when I just made the screen big and would watch it, wouldn't be as choppy. So I think that did play into account. But overall, other than through Alice in Chains, it was good. The set sounded great. I'm sure they're tired of hearing it. I know William doesn't sound like Lane, but I'm glad they're another band. Just appreciate what they're doing because this is where I
Yeah,
go
so
into the comment section before Guns N' Roses. I said before, there's a comment section, and people are saying, where's Lane? Not Lane. Shut up. There's nothing can be done about that, man. Enjoy Mike
well,
Inez and
the,
Jerry Cantrell and
what you got to remember is you can sit there and tweet that, or yeah, sorry, tweet, sit there and say that comment because they're there. They could well not be there because
right.
they could well have stopped as a band, and you could well be talking about a band that you used to love from the '90s that never did anything after their great singer passed away. But we're lucky enough that Will stepped up and doesn't care about that stuff and is like, hey, look, this is a fucking awesome band. We've still got to put it on. And I was lucky enough to see Jerry. I've had a bit of a couple of weeks of it. This is not my normal life. I saw Jerry Cantrell, then Guns N' Roses, and then Matt Richard Fortus. That's another story.
We'll get
And
into that.
then Sabbath. So I saw Jerry Cantrell in London the other week with his band. And this was the first time since the '90s I saw Alice in Chains, and it was great. It's really good.
They're just a professional band, and well,
Yeah,
I think I've tried to coordinate when they've opened up for Guns N' Roses to see that, but it hasn't happened. But I mean,
and
I'm
I
sure they'll
love
be around
the
for a while, so I know I'll catch them. I know I'll catch them.
I love the Aussie style jacket, the Black Sabbath Aussie jacket. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh yeah, that
With the fringes all on it, and we were like, "That's a kind of a cool nod." He had the fringe jacket for anyone that's listening that Ozzy was pictured in, where he used to jump in the air and all the fringes would hang off it. But he had a like a brown version of it, It
Isn't
looks
that what's on
awesome.
your shirt? The one
Oh
you're
yeah,
wearing?
sorry. Yeah, you're right.
You're
Yeah, I
wearing
had
a
a picture
shirt
of
of
it.
the shirt
Of
that
the one, yeah.
that William
It's like an
Duvall was
Inception
wearing.
moment. It just keeps on going.
Yeah, you're right. Inception. You know what? I'm glad you pointed that out. I didn't put two and two together
Yeah.
at that time. Like, oh, he likes
I
fringes,
think that's what
whatever.
the vibe was anyway. It certainly looked like that to us.
It sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm going with it. That's exactly what he was trying.
Gojira, they are really a force to be
Yeah.
reckoned with. Like how what an impressive band, man. And we saw it during the Olympics. Those who aren't like into that heavier metal, it was I knew of them, but that was my first like, whoa, this is who they are. And to bring out that the opera singer, she killed it. She's doing like headbanging. I just thought they are a fantastic band that represents the genre well.
Yeah, so well done to the French Olympics for doing that, for starters. They just were
Yeah.
like, yeah, hey, we could have got anyone. And we got this really heavy band that some people know. Yeah, they're a big band, but again, we're a niche within a niche. Yeah, we've got to remember that. We're not, 11 million billion people who listen to Ed Sheeran and, you know, Coldplay or something. Yeah, like, but to put them on, what a great platform to put them on. And then obviously that Olympic performance was epic. But they came out and did a great performance. They looked amazing on stage with a big silver guitar that the main guy has. Again, never seen them live. Sounded just like they did on the record, like really good. And then, like you say, they brought the opera singer lady out and everyone just got, oh, she must have had the best day. She must have just like, I'd love to see her tweets and stories of like, oh yeah, I used to be an opera singer and then this random dude rang me up and sing on a song about chopping heads off or whatever it is because it's in French, and then I'm in Villa Park, wherever that is. Like, she just, yeah, and she looked like she was absolutely loving it. Again, it looked like Jason Momoa, super fan person, enjoying it and taking it in. And I think that's a big thing that I saw so many times with so many people just embracing it and just really enjoying it. And actually, it's probably not a bad time to talk about it. A lot of people talked in the comments afterwards, which I looked at this morning. Never read the comments of anything. It's probably the best thing.
I
It
can't
goes
help
back to
it.
your it goes back to
I
your
know.
post, right? Um, and oh, the crowd are lame. Oh, people are shit. First of all,
Mm.
it's a really long day. Not using that as an excuse. It's a really long day. They ran out of food. There was an hour and a half wait for if you needed a drink, which was a nightmare.
Mm.
And we don't all have to just film stuff to enjoy it or jump up and down. Some people don't want to jump up and down. Some people just want to take it all in. But I tell you what, I've never seen so many mosh pits in my entire life going at once. And Gojira is one of those bands that was happening to that lady singing the opera song, to 90% of the people not knowing what they were talking about, still loving it. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I
Yeah.
did see comments about the crowd, and you're right. I'm like, you're not there. You know what it's
Yeah.
like. You see a difference, and I've talked about it when I just go to a show here in New York, and you see crowds in Venezuela or Brazil, and they're just like waves of people. I mean, oh my God, how do you compete with that? But every time they would show the crowd, and I'll get into it with Ozzy with the
Yeah.
crowd, which was huge. Uh, but just you see, everyone was having a good time, and whether it was Jason Momoa, the opera singer, uh, it added to the day. It just added
Yeah.
to the viewing experience. Easily the best $30 I ever spent, and just because, yeah, these are certain bands that maybe I wouldn't see. And I'm watching them now. What's adding to that experience other than, yeah, just playing their music? It's just
Mm.
seeing little moments like that it's gonna stick with me. Seeing this opera singer just going like, yeah, and just you felt it. You felt her passion.
You
After
felt
that,
she was having the best day of her life, right?
you're right. And after that, something
Yeah.
else I would never watch ever, a drum
Mm.
off. Why would
Oh, so
why would I want to watch a drum off? Because my
on
son
paper.
I have enough drums in my life. I have enough. There's a short video of Harrison sitting on my lap during Rival Sons, like smacking this. Quickly after I stopped that video, he smacked me in the head with one of the drumsticks.
That's
So I
always
did
going to
not
happen,
want to
right?
hear a drum. I didn't want to hear a drum off at that point, but it was so good. Travis
Yes.
Barker, Carey from Tool, and Chad Smith, Danny Carey. So
But on paper, that sounds like you're pissed up, right? You're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like it'll be 10 minutes. I'll go to the bathroom, come back," and it was captivating. And again, I don't know if that's down to Tom Morello of like, okay, guys, instead of just you play one beat and you copy it, and we're trying to see who's better, Chad, or you're going to win, or whatever. They put it into a song. Yeah, they put it into a Sabbath song, and then they had this awesome band around them. Yeah, again, Nuno just wasn't even playing anything at one point. He was just hitting percussive notes that he does, and it just made it sound so much better. Way more entertaining from
it
me, for
was
me anyway. Like,
it
yeah,
was. I was like, this is cool, and I was showing Harrison with that. I'm like, look, drums,
yeah,
drums, Baby Shark.
yeah. Daddy head. Yeah,
Yeah, I know, Daddy, but I'm telling you, I made a tweet. Um, it was with a meme. Someone asked me. It was recently the anniversary of the Riverport riot, right? I think it was on the second of this month, and there's that famous because it's not a picture per se, it's just somebody a still of the video of happened where Axel's pointing out at the audience at Stump, and you see Izzy's face. You know, obviously it's all kind of pixelated because it's an old video and you're just freezing it, but you see Izzy's face like, oh my God, what is happening right now? This is like, this is happening right now. Uh, so I put someone, one of my listeners, like I think Colin, shout out to Colin, who like, how has no one ever made this a meme? And I was trying to think about it, and my son, I guess, put the caption of demanding Baby Shark on the TV, and then under like Izzy, my caption of me just trying to enjoy Back to the Beginning. That was with so much of this. Thankfully, again, my wife got home from her job before Guns N' Roses, so no, oh, we'll get to that. There were some things there that made my experience fun. So anyway, uh, there's so much to talk to. So the drum off,
yep.
Harrison's crazy. Oh, and by the way, as I said, he's gone away for a week. My wife just texted me. Oh my, and some of my you. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter. I know you follow me on Instagram. I tweeted because this is true. Harrison started laughing at farts, and he loves the word.
That,
So
that that's a lifelong thing for men, right?
I
That's it. It's done.
it's all I've ever
He's in the
wanted.
club.
It's all
Yeah.
I've ever wanted. So my wife, she's like, the very first thing Harrison started talking to people about today was farts and making fart noises. I hate you so much, LOL. So
It's brilliant. Love it.
so this will be the kid that I'm talking about as we keep going. So the drum off, Supergroup B, which included the music director Tom Morello, got Billy Corgan, who I think did a great job,
Mm.
KK Downing, who I'm glad was there to represent Priest, although Priest was there in the video package, which was kind of
Yeah.
weird. So we had two priests, Adam Jones from Tool, Rudy Sarzo. So they did just a great set, which featured, holy shit, fuck. Tom, I don't know how else to say it. Steven Tyler.
Just
I
fucking
mean, what was
awesome.
that like when he came out?
So, like I said, unfortunately, we were in the cheat sheets, and I saw him coming, and it
Oh,
was either that's somebody's grandma or it's Steven Tyler, right?
okay.
With the rock and roll grandma. I love Steven Tyler. He's epic. I remember seeing him years ago with Aerosmith and just blown away. And he comes out. Jason Momoa introduces him. They're already playing part of the song, and he came out, and again, just like you couldn't get anybody better to do that. Like so, he's retired, isn't he, from touring as in Aerosmith, right?
Right.
So these type of things, perfect. He did a benefit concert in LA and one in New York, I believe, for the Child's Hospital. I've forgotten the name.
Janie's Fund? He does that
Is
Janie's
that
Fund
it?
thing.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So they did those, and then for him to turn up there was like, oh my god, of course he's going to be doing this because he can still do it, and he really brings the heat of it, and he brings that 70s rock and roll, 80s. I don't care, you know, like big rock star vibe. And don't get me wrong, you've got No Betancourt on there. You've got all these other people. Sorry, I've forgotten the list of other people that were on there at that moment in time, but you just know it's Steven Tyler, for God's sake. He comes on, and within 2 seconds, he's throwing his sunglasses in the crowd. His jacket's gone somewhere, his hat's gone somewhere, and he's down to his waistcoat and his scarves being Steven Tyler, and he blew everyone away again. And
I
and I'll
couldn't
keep saying that because loads of performances were spectacular. I'm the stuck record.
It really was spectacular, and this was about the time my wife came home, so I was able to actually enjoy this.
Oh,
Here,
nice.
take our son. Uh, but yeah, he it makes you think of he can do it in these small bursts. So what happens if he were to do it? I wouldn't want him to push himself. I'm just asking, kind of like a just to ask. If he goes for an hour, is it pain? Does it start to bleed? Could he do more damage? So there's a reason why he does it like this. So he's kind of like, to go use a sports analogy again, he's like a closer. He's like a middle relief pitcher in baseball, just someone who comes out, throw it 100 miles per hour, and then he's gone. He does his job. So train kept it rolling, walk this way, and whole. What are the best versions? I mean, I've never seen Led Zeppelin, but I mean, a whole lot of love. I mean,
That just
wow.
the vibe of that and the audience from hey, audience participation. You play that riff, everybody knows it. Doesn't matter what language you speak, everybody knows. It's like you can do it as bad as that. People know what it is. And yeah, just what a great song for him to do. And again, the vibe of that, it just uplifted everything. And again, like people have been standing there watching Lamb of God and Gajira, heavy bands, and loving it. Steven Tyler comes on from a rock band, really. If you go saying heavy metal and rock,
Yeah.
doing a rock song, classic rock song, people loved it. And it was there was no disparity of like, oh god, here's a 70s rock band. It was, oh my god, it's Steven Tyler doing Led Zeppelin. What the fuck are we watching? Where the hell did this come from?
And I'm glad that Zeppelin was represented in
Yes,
this whole
yes.
event.
It is actually. It goes on to a good point that I made when I was well, a point I made when I was there. Maybe it's good or not. Is apart from Sabbath and Ozzy, there wasn't any British representation on paper. And
Mm.
then obviously we've had a Led Zeppelin song and KK Downing. That's brought it up. But it was like, oh man, like I know Priest are on tour, but for Priest to do something, they did a great War Pigs video the other day.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and it's like it's killer. And yeah, don't get me wrong, KK Downing came on and he was the best version of KK Downing. He was just a classic 70s rocker with his tight pants on that may be a bit too tight. And his big flying V, and he just was KK Downing. He was super loud, by the way, like so loud. And everybody else was like here, and then he kicked in for his solo, and it was like Jesus Christ, and it was great. But yeah, I'd like to have seen a bit more of the British. But that's being picky. Like this was the
Right.
the the most ideal concert anybody could ever go to.
Yeah, I know. I
Contradicting
mean,
myself.
for sure. I mean, yeah, again to go to it and for the world to be able to experience it was special. So, next is a band I have this version of seen live. I did not see Pantera back in the day. I saw them open up for Metallica last summer, and they blew me away. One of those bands, like talking about Alice in Chains. Yes, of course, we want, Vinny to be here. We want Dimebag to be here. How do you know what they wanted? Oh, Dime would want. This is the version. They're playing the music that I never got a chance to hear live, and just that they killed it. You could see how grateful Phil Anselmo is to be there, and happy he is to be there. He thanked the Abbott brothers right away. So I mean, Pantera. I'm just so glad they were part of this day and that music, man. A day to celebrate heavy metal. How do you talk about? How do you Pantera's was like my era's almost. It was like them and Metallica, man. You can't have one without the other. So I'm glad. And when Pantera's around in some version, let's do it. So I'm glad they were a part of it.
To be on, like you said, Metallica and Pantera, they were. If you're doing a send off to the great Sabbath and Ozzy, but we're going to invite other bands, you have to have Metallica. You have to have Pantera. It's just if you look at the lineage, that's where it's going. Those two are in there, and then right, okay, what else are we putting in? That to me is what was okay. We've got Pantera here, got Metallica there. Right, we need some other great bands. Well, we stick Anthrax over there because they're epic and they're influenced by it, and they had to be there. And I saw Pantera back in the day with Dimebag, famously among my friends at Donington. I say famously because I got knocked out during it. Long
Oh,
story. We'll leave that one, but it was funny.
fair.
But I did experience them back then, and I went to see them. I think it was February time they played over here, at the NEC, and was right near the front. And the best thing about that was, I thought it was going to be a load of old farts just like me, and it wasn't. It was. I was definitely most people's dad. You know, they were 20-year-old kids loving it. And Phil asked back then, you know, how many people have seen Pantera back in the day? And I'm like, yeah, you know, takes me a minute because my arm's arthritic. Yeah, cool. Yeah. And how many people have not seen them before? 90% of people. And that says it to me. There's still a desire for that band, whether you believe the incarnation of Charlie and Zach within that band, or whatever you want to call it, the Pantera tribute to it. It has to carry on going like that. And so for a time, you know, do I believe in they should do new music? Probably not, but for them to be on this bill, it had to happen. And Phil sounded incredible. You know, Phil's had some times where, you know, he's had some hard times in his life with problems and stuff, and he hasn't sounded great.
Hmm.
And he did sound really good. And that was just on their songs. You know, they had to do Walk, they had to do Cowboys Hell. You knew they were going to do that. We all
Yeah.
said, are they going to do, you know, Planet Caravan? And then Phil said, it's my favorite song, and we recorded it and couldn't remember what album it's on, which is great. Love that.
Right. Yes,
Yeah,
Rex.
it's so Phil. And the thing is, we all probably, I remember what album was on,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
for Phil to not remember, I love that. But if you go back and listen to that, from my memory of it, watching it for one time, he sounded so Ozzy when he first started it. He
He
was
did.
down on his knees on the stage, and without his shoes and socks on, which is his thing nowadays, and in his
Yeah.
shorts and his t-shirt, and he got down, and I could genuinely thought, why are they playing Ozzy? Why are they playing a tape? And I
Yeah.
was like, no, that's Phil. Like, and he sounded great. Um, and yeah, we thought, and we had a conversation. They're not going to play Planet Caravan because it's on the record. They always play it. They'll play something else. I mean, they got Zach Wild in the band. They could have named any Black Sabbath song, and they really did a good job of it.
Okay. Sorry, you were breaking up just a little bit there.
Oh, very cool.
Towards
Can you hear us now?
yeah,
Yeah,
you're
cool.
good now. So all good. I mean, we're
Slight
at the
broadcast
halfway
for you.
point. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, yeah.
it's like back to the beginning. How can you do
Yeah,
a long show without any glitches? So
yeah.
we're past an hour of. I mean, I was so fooled to think I could do this into an hour. There's so much I want to talk about and to relive from the show. So we move on from Pantera to Tool, a band who another band I would love to see. And
Mm,
it's very funny how I just notice in today's world of being negative and I guess that's like the fun thing to do. People just make fun of Tool. I mean, the funny joke was like, how are they going to play, 15 minutes? They're going to get out one song, whatever. That's funny. But Tool growing up was always like the kid smoking cigarettes like by the locker who would always get detention, like always like the bad kids would always like Tool. They were always like kind of like I don't know if I should listen to this. I love Tool now for when they kicked off with 46 and 2. I was like, fuck yeah, this is one of my favorite
they
songs.
had to start. They had to start with that, right?
Oh, I mean,
That was the one. Like, again, on paper, what are they going to do? They've got to do that. It's the the gateway drug to Tool, right?
uh, there's so many again, Tool is I don't talk about them a lot, but I really do love I love them. I can listen to an album of theirs and just leave it. There's not many bands that I can
Yeah,
do and just leave it like that. And Maynard seems like he was having a lot of fun. It's a
he looked like he
shame.
was.
It's a shame. I don't know if he'll ever come on the podcast because I don't know if him and Axel are at odds. But then again, I guess not breaking news because we're recording this, but the old picture of James Hetfield and Axel. So who knows? Maybe Maynard and Axel made BFFs or are BFFs now too. So who knows? So Tool's awesome. Slayer, of course, they are not. They're just doing shows like this now. They're not.
Yeah. So he
Barry.
just did a show. They did a show a couple of days ago in Cardiff,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't far from myself. It's about 40 minutes, hour away if that. And then worked my way up to Birmingham, played this show, and then they played London last night. But they were like Slayer are. like 3 songs of Slayer, 4 songs of Slayer. It's just intense. I remember seeing Slayer years ago in like Innsbruck or somewhere, so on when I was away over there, and it was just intense, and it was no different. I think I counted. Here you go. The crowd were dull and boring. No, there was I think 15 circle mosh pits in different locations around on the field, in the GA, in the Golden Circle. Actually, there was a really funny mosh pit every single time you looked in the Golden Circle. There's a huge mosh pit. But there was one dude, and whoever that dude is, if anyone knows him, yeah, like respect to him. And he had a bright green t-shirt on, and he stood right in the middle of the mosh pit, and he stood like this, and he didn't move. And the whole thing went around him, and they never cared about him. And he had his arms in the air sometimes, and he was just like the Rock in the middle. But anyway, so Slayer, like I said, it was just going crazy. Like everywhere was going crazy. There was empty bottles being thrown in the air. There was mosh pits everywhere. You know, Kerry King's just squealing lead stuff that he's doing, and yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think, because I actually did try to go to the bathroom the very last second of Slayer, but it didn't work because there was
Okay.
this massive queue. But I don't believe they did a cover.
Um, I don't
Nah,
think
let's just go
so.
on paper with that. That's truth, and that's it.
No, that's they did. Oh no, they did Wicked World.
Oh, did they? Oh, sorry, that must have been stuck. I'm
Yeah,
so sorry,
I'm looking.
everybody.
No, it's fine because it's interesting because I'm looking at the Wikipedia entry that's already up.
Oh
And
wow.
after Slayer, though, was Fred Durst Changes. But this makes me, because this is not listed then, because I
Oh
remember when Changes happened, I'm like, we're talking about repeat songs. I'm like, Youngblood did that.
yeah.
So
So
I don't
Fred,
know where I skipped over Youngblood because it's not in this list that I'm looking at. I'm curious because I'm not, I know he's now I'm gonna really sound like Grandpa Simpson of the Cloud. It's just I knew that song Fleabag, which is kind of cool. It's just
yeah.
I don't know. He's just not for me. I thought he was okay. Um, yeah,
So
but I
so
don't want I don't
can
want
I
to I
can
don't
I
want to be
just ask you?
negative. I don't want to be a hypocrite and be negative. So if you liked it, great.
Just ask you, so what was the part about Limp Bizkit? Because like he was
So
on the
yeah,
t-shirt.
so Fred Durst. This was
Hmm.
after Slayer. I don't. Was it on the screen for you guys? He covered
No,
Changes. Oh
no,
no.
no, no. We didn't see any. In fact, it was a big thing of like, oh, he's on the thing, but sorry, he's
So
on the
after
list of
Slayer, you
people.
didn't see anybody until Guns N' Roses?
That's correct.
Oh, that's interesting. All right. So yeah, there was a package of Fred Durst kind of reminded me of when they did the Who cover Behind Blue Eyes of
Yeah.
his doing his slow thing of Changes, and it just made me think of
Ah,
yeah, you can watch it after the show.
no,
Watch
I
it after the
had
show.
had no had zero idea that happened because Changes was obviously earlier on
It's
in one
Youngblood.
of the super groups, and with Youngblood, like you were just saying. So again, Youngblood's not an artist that I picked up on. Too old, sitting up on a cloud with you, shouting the clouds. Uh, and but fine. Again, I'm ambivalent about it. It's not something I'll turn on, not something I'll turn off. A friend of mine, Emma's massively into him, but he's been on the podcast with the Osbournes. Obviously, a friend of the family. Kelly loves him. Brought him in on that little, the thing that's happening now, and he loves Ozzy. And Ozzy loves him, and you can see it. And they've talked on how in the past they feel very akin to each other as similar ages. Ozzy's like, you're a young kid that's come from a shitty background, all of these things with, I think he's got ADHD
Mhm.
or Tourette's, I remember he's got a few sort of issues for himself, and he's overcome them and become this massive star. Again, it's not within our sphere, but it's not to say he's rubbish.
No.
And what you've got to remember is there were kids there.
Yeah.
There were like real kids there, and they're all wearing Aussie t-shirts and Black Sabbath t-shirts, and their parents are taking them, a few of them. And if they can get inspired, or if somebody that's massively into Youngblood and has got no idea who Sabbath is, doesn't care, it's dad music, I don't care. And now he puts this on his Instagram, which is where they suddenly are getting their music from, and they get inspired by it. And then they go back and they check out every single one of those Sabbath records. Amazing. You know, it just perpetuates the legacy. And if for a younger person to do that, it's incredible. And then for him to come up, he came on stage and I was like, oh, it's Youngblood. And he's like, he's got his swept back hair, he's got a black suit on, black shirt, black tie. He looked cool. You know,
Hmm.
he looked really cool. And he put his foot up on the monitor and he sung changes. And I tell you what, not one person there, man, woman, or child, wasn't crying.
Hmm.
So and it was a poignant shit, you know, like one day this will be this Ozzy won't be here. Yeah, and that's why we're here. You know, Ozzy, Geezer, Bill, Tony, they're people that we have grown up with and we feel some kinship to, you know, and some connection, and they're not going to be there. And it was a real moment of like, oh shit, hope no one sees. You know what I mean? Like,
Maybe when that's when it started for people because they had that song hits you and even even with them Fred Durst playing it, those lyrics and that song, you love it and you're starting to get emotional as a watcher. It's like I was here to rock out, but now I'm feeling things. What is
yeah,
happening here? But
yeah.
I
God
was,
damn you, feelings.
but at this point, you didn't see Fred Durst. So again, changes. We
Yeah.
talked about the two people that covered it. Let's get to the band of the hour, the band of the show, whatever.
Who's
Gun,
that?
Guns N' Roses.
I've never heard of him. Are they
Oh
some small
yeah,
band from California?
this little band called Guns and or Roses with
Oh, right.
Axl Rose, without
Ah.
an E. Always the haters, and we'll get into the haters. And I look this whole time, watching it the whole time, I was nervous for Guns N' Roses set because the last time they were televised with during Glastonbury, they were destroyed. But I tend to go on people like you, fans that go to the show. When I've been to the show, what I see, as opposed to just stupid comments. I mean, those are annoying, but sometimes the videos online are not good.
Yeah.
But it's just through a phone. It's not. So
Mm.
we'll get into that. So I'm just worried about what is Axel going to sound like, just to flat out say it for this. And a lot of the rumors are they going to play "It's All Right." Haven't played since the '90s. Of course, famously on the Live Era CD cover of a Bill Ward Black Sabbath song, and that's how they started. I mean,
And they couldn't have started it any like they couldn't not play that.
did you
It
notice? Oh, sorry, go ahead first.
no no go on, go on, go on. No, you
I
go
was going
first.
to notice because I guess I want to literally set the stage here with "All Right" because he had the piano,
Yeah
but there was no Dizzy or Melissa, so it was
yeah.
just a five-piece band. So my assumption is just to keep it. We were talking about before, keeping things moving, the stage moving. It would have been a bigger production to get their equipment going. Let's just keep it moving. So no Dizzy, no Melissa, and yeah, five-piece and with Axel on the piano for "It's All Right."
So going back to the setup part. So the stage turns around, the band aren't on it, and there's a big grand piano. And the guy next to me, who I didn't know, he was just a random dude I was sat next to. I didn't know anybody around me. And he goes, "Oh my God, they're going to play November Rain." I was like, "They're not going to play November Rain. They're definitely playing It's All Right." I mean, it's a Sabbath thing. And like, again, ah, so I was lucky enough to meet Richard Fortus about. So they played in Villa Park on the 23rd on the Monday, and on the Friday I got to meet Richard at Guitar in Camden, which is in London.
Nice.
And I went and met him. Sorry, there's a reason for this. I went and met him. He's been really gracious and amazing to me in the past for a couple of things. He sorted out some guitar stuff for me in the past. And I was like, right, I got to
Nice.
go and see him. And I took my Richard Fortus guitar, which is over there, with me. And
Okay.
in fact, here we go. Look, we're digressing, but there's a point to this.
Okay.
So
It's
I,
okay.
I took my Richard Fortus guitar and he signed the headstock for me.
All beautiful.
Yeah. So whilst he was doing that, just put that back. Whilst he was doing that, he asked me if I was going to the Sabbath show. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I'm going. And he was so excited. Like, honestly, he went, oh my God, I've got to tell you something. So,
You showed me that part of the video. He
yeah,
was.
yeah,
I
exactly. And
was.
I have a video of him signing my guitar and sorry, my poster that I had as well. And the whole idea was to just film him signing the poster. So, like, hey, he really did sign my poster. It isn't just myself. And then you can see the excitement in his face. I stopped the video because I wanted to talk to him rather
Mm.
than just video it. And he basically turned around and said, "We're doing 4 songs. Do you want to know what they are?" He's like, "Oh my God, I've got to tell you. I shouldn't tell you, but I've got to tell you. Oh my God, like, right, so." And I'm like, "No, no, don't tell me."
Oh,
And I
really?
said, "Yeah." And I said, "I know you'll be doing It's All Right." And he just looked at me and went, and I was like, "Don't tell me anything else." So when the piano rolls out, I was like, "Right, cool. That's what they're playing at some point." Um, did I think they start with it? No, because I was a bit like, "Oh, it's not a high energy song." And Guns N'
Right.
Roses is a high energy band. The whole event's a high energy band. Why would you start with something that's relatively, just one guy and a piano? But it was actually the perfect way to do it, because the energy just went up rather than up, up, up. Oh, we're doing that. Now we've got to bring everybody back up. That's harder. Um, when the stage rolled round, the piano on it, and you can see straight away we've got Isaac set up, nobody else. Slash has got 2 amps, 2 cabinets facing backwards. Rich has got 1 cab facing backwards. Duff's got 1 cab. That's it. That's a fair sized bar band. And it's like, fuck, that's Guns N' Roses. What a wow. What like that is the B rig. That is the get on, get shit done, get off.
Hmm.
And even more so, just to be nerdy, Slash comes out and he's playing an SG with a cable into a pedal board, and Slash does not press pedals anymore. Like he has a man that does that for him. If he needs to change during a song for an
Oh, see,
overdrive.
I'm glad to be nerdy because I don't know these things.
Yeah, I could be nerdy for ages. So if he needs to boost a solo, he presses a pedal, which would increase the volume and a couple of other things. He has his guitar tech backstage who would physically press that button for him. He would be watching him on a monitor and he'd press boost, and everybody suddenly hears Slash louder. But he doesn't do that because he can be anywhere on the stage. He doesn't have to worry about it. But he was doing all of that when he was there. And normally they have the wireless pack, so there's not a wired. They can go anywhere. But they were both on cables.
Hmm.
All 3 of them, sorry, are on cable because they didn't need to go a long way, and they needed a quick changeover and less gear and all of that. And it was great to see. It was a stripped down, like I've never seen Guns N' Roses like that. It's just a stripped down, smaller version of it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So straight away, Axel starts and he's got a problem. He's like, "Damn it!" I don't know if they cut this out in the live feed. He's like, "Damn it!" And he stops. He's like, "Oh, sorry, my fault." And he hadn't turned, I believe, his in-ear monitor on because he couldn't hear himself. So his hands behind his back. He's turning his in-ears on, and then jokes about it. It's like there's 48,000 people there. Axel of past would have either carried on or got pissed about it, and he's laughing about it. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm a douche." Like so that was it's great to see that he, as a person, that's what he's like now.
It certainly is, and yeah, that was one of the comments, and I get it. I feel bad for Dizzy and Melissa, but they're like, "Oh wow, this is Guns N' Roses. This five
Yeah,
piece is what we're used to, or what it used to be, I should say."
yeah,
But it was an interesting way to watch Guns N' Roses, this version of it. So to go from "It's Alright" to, and I admit it, I like Black Sabbath, but I was not familiar with much of the later work, like Never
yeah.
Say Die and Junior's Eyes. I'm not gonna be
Junior's
phony about
Eyes
it.
is a great blues rock song.
I'm
But
introduced to it now.
yeah, like never say that. The album is off as well is fantastic, but as soon as they did that, it was like, of course, Guns N' Roses are doing that. Like, of course, what a great idea. So if you listen to the original, and this is, I guess, goes back to the harsh comments that we get about Axel, Mickey Mouse, can't sing, blah blah. Go and listen. I tell you what. Again, stop the podcast. Go put that on. Put that record on and sing along to it. Anybody, even the person who thinks they're good at singing, sing along to it. Ozzy's vocals are so high on a lot of Black Sabbath records, a lot of them, a lot higher than you think, and especially Sabbath. And then not so bad when he's with Ozzy on his own, but again, the register's so high. And if you look at everybody who's doing it that day, it makes sense for Axel's falsetto voice to do that song. And again, not again, sorry, the Right and Junior's Eyes, both very similar. And for them to pick it, it makes sense. Yeah, I would have loved to have heard 1991 Paris, Tokyo, London, Axel doing that. But you'd have had a 4 hour wait for stars, right?
Mm.
You would have possibly had a riot. He possibly wouldn't have done it, and it would have been only one show. But we got him doing it then, and I truly think that it's the right person to do it.
It was very cool song choices, even though I wasn't overly familiar with that later Black Sabbath album. But of course, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, to do
Oh,
that. So you're right. You listen to those early Sabbath songs, and Ozzy's voice is very high.
mm,
And okay, what would an Axl 1991, 1992 sound like on those songs? It's not 1991. It's not 1992. It's just, and then people will compare it to, well, Steven Tyler sounds like this. Everyone's voice is different. Everyone's body is different. What surgeries Steven has had is not the same, or not the same as what Axl has had.
mm,
I don't know, and this is, I guess, what I've been teasing, and the big crux of this whole episode is Axl's voice. And because they, in addition to those Sabbath songs, they finish with "Welcome to the Jungle" and "Paradise City." And I want to be honest too. I'm not going to be a sycophant and think everything Axl does is perfect or Guns N' Roses does is perfect. It sounds different, and I don't want to use too like a negative phrase. You use I that's stupid. The Mickey Mouse. You said it first.
mm. Yes,
I wasn't gonna use that. I didn't want to give any credence to that tired old joke where
I
everyone says
hate it.
like
I
it's
hate it.
it,
Can we stop it? I know I said it. It was a reiteration of one of my mates that came with us.
but it's like the first time anyone's ever said it, or any other comparisons they give to Axel, to just unflattering comparisons.
Hmm.
Again, there's I don't we don't know what's going on with his voice. It's very interesting when you watch it where he does use the lower register. Thank you for bringing that beautiful looking cat into the frame.
Say hey, mate.
What's orange or white cat? I appreciate it. Who's like a
Yeah.
cat.
Oh, Milo. Yeah,
In and out,
he's
in and
internet
out.
famous. He sat down there.
But to again, I get, you are allowed to have your opinion. Maybe his voice isn't for you now. You don't like it. That's fine. But it's to take the time out of your day when people are enjoying this. I hate to say it, but as I'm watching the feed and enjoying the show, seeing these negative comments just flood in. People can't wait to make fun of Axel. Even the fat jokes, which don't never applied, I think, that, oh, because he was a little bit bigger in his 40s and 50s as opposed to his 20s. He
Yeah.
was never fat. And even the word fat is a whole other conversation, we can have, whether that's what that means. But he looks amazing now. And
Yeah.
there's still these jokes about him being, so there are people who are just prepared to, and I said this before, I'm waiting for the Axel attackers just to happen, no matter how well he does or doesn't do well. So if it's his voice is not for you anymore, that's fine. However, people like you, Jason, and others that I've spoken to, that who have, whether also that were there or other shows on this tour, have had nothing but complimentary things to say about Axl Rose. Either whether it's like, okay, it's not 1987 anymore, or that when I was there, he sounded awesome. I've
Yeah.
never heard a bad review from somebody who was physically there. If you want to comment on TikTok on a video that you saw, that's your life, bro. You want to make a negative comments on TikTok, great. You don't want to go to a Guns N' Roses concert, fine. I'll go. I'm an extra ticket for my son and his friends when he makes them, and we'll go in the future. Don't go. But for
Yeah.
you who've been seeing them since back in the day, you haven't stopped seeing them. So that's what, it's just very agitating that on this grand stage that so much good could be done. We've talked about a lot of the good that's been done. You know, with Hailstorm, I saw another comment that pissed me off. People was trying to call her the angry Taylor Swift. What? Because they're both women who write their own music. That's what is that? What does one have to do with
Yeah.
another? Like, so you're going to belittle both of them? Like it doesn't mean. So this whole day should have been just praise, praise, praise. But the world, what it does what it
So
does. The internet does what it does.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Please do.
The day was full of praise by everybody that was there participating.
I believe it.
Every single person I've seen since has been, fuck off and get a ticket. Oh, you couldn't? Oh, because you couldn't get off your ass and get one? Because you couldn't be bothered or you couldn't get one? I understand that as
Well,
well.
because you couldn't get one either.
Yeah, because you couldn't get one. I get that bit. But like even a normal gig down the road that's going to cost you a fiver or 20 quid or $5, $10, and you don't go to that and then you complain about it. Don't, because you're not the person that's up on stage, putting everything out there, writing a song, performing a song, putting everything, or the person that's in the audience actually turning up and doing it. Well done. You wrote a bad comment. Bet you feel great about yourself. Oh, hang about. What? November Rain? Did you write that? No.
The songs
You said it
and
earlier.
yeah, the songs and the lyrics will live on. Yeah, I'll read my because I try not to do this. Look, I
Mhm.
try to leave my venting now to this podcast because on social media, it's just gonna like context is key and context is out the door. Or people who are not your followers who understand where you're coming from will swoop in. And I'll give you like an example, and you can just get lost into it. The one time I got really lost into it, and I'll never do it again after this, was when Axel was brought up on those false sexual harassment charges, and I was defending him because I'm like, all right, if I'm going to defend this guy, if I'm going to do a podcast about this guy, I'm going all in. And you're just like stuck online, like arguing with people who are they're 15 or they're I don't know, they've never went to school or just like something or just people who just whatever you tell them, they're never going to change their mind because they're angry.
Mhm.
So, or just don't say, okay, you have your opinion. Let's agree to disagree. At the very least, they don't want to do that. So, Axel haters can all get bent. His name and songs will live on for as long as Earth is intact. How you doing? How's your life doing? And somebody responded to this, and I hate that his name is Brandon because it's a great name. Uh, it's like we have visual evidence, and he puts a laughing react. By the way, I don't know about you, as a grown man, I'm very sparing with my laughing reacts and LMAO. I don't tweet like a little teenage girl. I kind of like LOL is fine, haha is fine, but the LOL MAL that's when you know you have a troll on your hand. We have visual evidence that he should probably retire or start incorporating some AI.
What?
First of all, I mean the retiring thing is just. I said to him, 'cause this is the one troll I responded to. So you have evidence of your thing. I have zero evidence that you should tell another man what to do with your life, with his life,
Right
especially
on.
when he brings
Yeah.
joy to millions. Who are you to tell somebody else what to do with their life? Fuck you. Get off Twitter. You get a job, loser. Sorry, I see. I
It's
can't
right.
put all
But hey,
this
look.
into a tweet. I have to get
But
this out on the
the
podcast.
thing is, again, on the 23rd of June, Villa Park, there's 46,000 people there who paid a ticket to watch him. Just put it that way,
I mean,
right?
it's not, I mean, the band is killing it. I mean, the band is really
So,
killing it. People who complain about new music, Chinese democracy, leftovers, this and that. Everyone can have their opinion about
yeah.
something, but they totally dismiss this guy who is not that guy who's going to make you wait 3 hours, who's not going to leave the stage angry. You know, when he was thanking the crowd during one of his sets, he's walking across. He's like, "Thank you to Ozzy and to Sharon and to all of you." And he trips over something on the stage.
What a different guy.
He's just like, "Oh," and he's like, trip over some shit. He's laughing at himself.
Yeah.
And you hear, I don't know if you heard it at the end. He said, "Do you have any idea when he finished Paradise City how badly I want to throw this right now?" And I
Oh,
think it's
yes,
because
I did. Yeah.
he's not allowed to throw the microphone anymore. So
Yeah.
he had so much fun. You're gonna take that all away from him because you what? Because you're a Beavis and Butthead clone. That's what this world. That's what the chat room has turned into. This sucks. That sucks.
Yeah.
Slayer.
I've,
Shut up. Just let
I've
people
not.
enjoy things.
I've not thought about it before as the Beavis and Butthead, but it completely spot on. But
And I like
the
Beavis and Butthead, but they're fictional. Don't be a real Beavis and Butthead.
the performance of so when we came out, I think this is a good example. We came out and we were walking down the street and we met. There's three of us that went, but we had three different seats at different locations, and we were talking. Oh my god, wasn't this great? Oh my god, just like you and I are. And our bass player, LJ, sorry, I'm gonna name drop. Tell him. He turns to us and goes, "Yeah, but hey, that Axel voice. It sucked. We stopped dead. Steve, who I play in another band with, we stopped dead, and Steve went, "I don't know what fucking gig you were watching, but that was awesome." And then we carried on walking. And again, it is subjective, right? Some of it,
That's
some of it.
allowed amongst friends. I'm not telling
Yeah,
anybody to feel a certain way. It's
yeah.
those who just go out of their way, and that's what the whole. Look, I'm on the internet. Podcast is inescapable. You say not to look at the comments. Alan Niven says not to look at the comments, but I feel like that's part of my job. Job, and I don't know. I just if I'm gonna be just another talking head in
Mm,
a sea of podcasts and a sea of media, I gotta do something every now and then. Just to
yeah.
tell somebody, shut the fuck up and let somebody enjoy things, man. Keep it to yourself. Or just say it amongst you. I don't know. So
I think that's the sound clip for this promo of this one. Shut the
and I
fuck up.
and you know what? And I'm not gonna be a hypocrite because I used to be that guy.
Yeah.
I think I grew up on you may not get the reference because he was a local radio show, but like Opie and Anthony and Howard Stern and the Comedy Central roasts and South Park were being mean can be funny at times. It's all subjective, I guess, if you want to call it mean. There's certain like in the roasts, but there's a time and place for everything. And I've just learned that. If I have
That's just
somebody
that.
like with Youngblood, am I going to sit and making fun of him? Why am I going to make fun of Youngblood? It would be out of jealousy that I don't have his hair, that I don't have his looks, that I don't have like things he has. And that's what all so I want to get that out that I know where all this hate is coming from.
Mm.
And you need to be called out on it.
But
Again,
the,
that's different than an opinion. Opinions and preferences are fine. I said that too. If you have an opinion and a preference, and that's fine. But to dismiss everything that Axl Rose has done, oh, they've had one good album. Shut
oh
the
god.
fuck up. Even if you want to combine Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, if you're one of those people, they call that just like a lesser album or like that's not a good album.
Well,
One or
people
two
say
aside.
Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 is not a good album, right?
The
That's a whole
phrase
different
is that
podcast for us.
it's not that they'll say that. Well, I have not that I haven't seen that. People say Guns N' Roses sucks. I mean, there's been all sorts of things, and that's your opinion. That's fine. I'm not here to make my favorite band your favorite band. That's high school. That's kid stuff. I don't care, about that. It's just when you are sweeping. It's just the ill-informed. I guess going back to high school. It's those opinions that sound like you really just belong next to a locker. It's just like, what are we doing here? And then sometimes you find out you're arguing with a 15-year-old online. You're like, what am I doing? And then you just like, all right, I'm gonna go take care
Calm
of my
down.
child
Yeah.
and live my life. Whatever this person got one over me. They think so. They have homework to do. Good for them.
But going back to the actual physical performance of it, the band, I'm going to take Axel out for a second. The band on the tour recently, and I told Richard this, is the best band that I've seen in 20 plus years. I've seen Izzy, I've seen Gilby, I've seen the brass section. I've seen all of that 1991
Mm.
through to 2025. This was the best band on their actual tour themselves. When they did the strip back run at yesterday, the Sabbath gig, it was a stripped back version of a brilliant band. You can't take that away from them. They were incredible.
You
They're a
can't take that away
great
from them.
rock band, right? Richard's holding down his thing, and you can see, like, you watch Richard, and he's a session musician that's a real rock and roller. Like, he knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows what chords he's playing. He knows all of these. He's just in it, and he's such a guy to watch on stage. He's the animated one. If you go and watch Guns N' Roses, stop just staring at Slash, watch Richard for a bit, and you'll be
Well,
like, wow. And then Duff's out there looking better than he ever has. Like, again, aging, but aging disgracefully in a great way, right? And he sounds phenomenal when he's singing and he's doing the backing vocals. Um, Isaac on drums, what a breath of fresh air. Don't get me wrong, love Frank, love Matt Sorum as well, and Stephen, but he just has this thing, and he's got a bit of a push to his drumming, and it creates a bit of a oomph to the music that you don't get. And then Slash is just Slash, like, yeah. Does anyone who ever says, "Oh, Slash can't play guitar," you clearly are deaf.
It's the
right?
same kind of
And
haters that spell
yeah,
Axel with an E or any of these people. Like you don't
let's
understand
leave
that.
him. Leave him. Yeah, he's got a top hat on. Yeah, he's playing this Les Paul. Yeah, great. Well, just incredible, right? So as a band as that, just phenomenal. And then I think it was the best performance I've seen in recent years of Jungle. No, I don't. But was it shit? No, it wasn't. And again, it was every. I don't know if the cameras pan round to it, but every single person had their hand in the air, welcome to the jungle, screaming it, shouting, and I mean everyone. It was a massive crowd participation of it. Axel did his normal, still thinks he's 20, sprinting across the stage, running. He's the only person who went right out on the wings. Right?
He did
Yeah.
on that
And
small stage.
he's like, oh, it's my running part. I run out to the end. And like you said earlier, he looks great in a minute. He's lost loads of weight, wasn't fat, but he's lost loads of weight. He looks trim. And on their tour, sounded like, hey, I've lost weight. I've had a vocal coach. How great am I? And I'm loving life. And on this one, so he ran out to the side, and as he did, he did, and I'll say this, he went massively out of time. It was like hugely out of time, and I wonder if when he got out at the end, he couldn't hear his in-ear monitors because you can't hear anything.
There are talks about that. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that logically for me, as a person that plays in a band, that's what's happened. It's not, oh, Axel shit, he can't sing anymore or he can't play with the band. He can't hear the band.
Hmm.
He's basically going, okay, so I've run over here. I just said that word. I know that. It's about right. Because you sort of know. You're not like going one and two and three. You just know it. And he's just out of the beat, and it was quite an off-putting. Like the beat was happening, and he was like, "dun
Mhm.
dun dun dun," rather than dun dun. I know he's not drumming, but with the vocals, and it was like, "Oh shit, man! Like I want Guns N' Roses to like click back in, come back over, and there's signal for your in ears because I want everyone to go away and go." Shit, they were amazing. Like, oh, not go, oh, like I don't want to give them any ammo for it. And it was a bit of a shame and that was at the end of Jungle. And I think it actually happened at the end of, or on a part of Paradise City as well. And he ran out the sides and I reckon he just lost signal on it. And I know a couple of people said, yeah, well, it's because he was running around and then couldn't breathe. No, I think he just couldn't hear it, if I'm honest.
There's a
Um,
lot, there's so many variables that people don't take into account. They just think like, oh, bad. And there's
yeah.
so many things. Axel has to be one of the smartest rock stars. He
Hmm.
knows what he's doing. And these are all things that happen. Someone who deals with live broadcasts all the time, things happen. And it doesn't mean you're bad. You work around it. And because he's such a professional, you make it work to the best that you possibly can make it. And that's exactly what he did. And when you're excited and you're jumping around, that could also affect your timing and all
Yeah.
this. And I don't want to be remiss because Isaac, I'm not a musician. I've said that all the time. So I can't tell, but all I can know is the comments with Isaac have been just nothing but glowing.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of his abs, and I mean,
Yeah.
my
No,
God, I
like
mean,
every time there's a picture of him, he has no top on. If I look like him, I would never wear a top, even in winter.
it's that scene. You ever see Step Brothers?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, when the older brother's like, you see what I'm working with? He's like pointing at his abs. What am I going to show you? My keg right now? I'm not going to do that. Before we move on to Metallica, I'm
Yeah.
sure Guns N' Roses will come on again. Did you take any pee breaks during the show, or what happened?
No,
Well,
we didn't eat. We tried to eat. There was no food. We tried to have a pee. There was a massive queue. There was no like water. They had a station, but there was just a big queue, and that was a self preservation of. Well, if I don't drink anything and I don't die, that's okay. If I don't drink anything, it means I don't need to pee, but that's also okay. So like, and I'm a man that drinks like nearly 4 liters of water a day, and I eat quite well, and so this is the opposite of that, and I was pretty much dying. I'll be
well,
honest.
I couldn't last because I'm gonna take a pee break right now.
All right,
So
cool.
hold on. So you could totally tell I was doing the pee pee dance, right?
Oh yeah, it was a good dance, man.
Oh
It's
God,
a good
this
dance
is why
moves.
I don't, I don't, I don't drink when I go to shows, like you just said, for this reason.
Oh god,
I,
I can't have a beer. If I have one, that's like it's open the floodgates. It's on. Yeah, but I
well,
I could drink this like thing. I'm fine.
Oh my God. I'm just like casually sipping water and I'm so excited. I'm drinking more because I got to shut up the air conditioner in my apartment so it doesn't, bleed over the microphone. So all the liquids going out. Oh, I don't know. No one wants to hear this part of the conversation. But
But Metallica.
yeah. Well, it used to be called Pistalica, right?
Oh
There's the
God.
segue. See, I got this
Yeah.
planned, man. See, it's like I did it on purpose, right? So, but Metallica, I mean, I mentioned before I got to see Pantera open for them last summer. It was my second time seeing Metallica. I saw them on the Summer Sanitarium tour like 20 years ago. And I was excited for it, man. Of course, they all look older like we all do, but Metallica always brings it. If you've never seen a Metallica show, man, I wish I saw them back in the heyday. I don't know about you, but just the two that I've been to are very memorable, and they are a great band. They're a great band.
I think I may have seen him 10, 12 times now. I
Nice.
think off the top of my head. But 91 through to now. And then next year they're coming to the UK for the M72 tour. And they're playing in Cardiff, which I mentioned earlier. It's like 40 minutes, hour away. And me and my friend Jake have got Snake Pit tickets for it, which is the right in the center of stage. If anybody doesn't know, they've got like a donut stage, and it's I think 900 people in the middle of the Metallica stage. Uh,
Awesome.
and we're lifelong fans. I was into them just before the Black Album, like just before because one was on MTV. My friend had one MTV we used to watch, and uh, it's got to be done because Metallica, like you say, it's just again coming out with the two guys that I went with. One hadn't seen him since 2016, maybe, which is Steve, and LJ had never seen them, and they both came out where and they both said, "Oh my God, we've got to buy tickets for Cardiff." That was awesome. And Metallica is a well-oiled machine. It's
Hmm.
just I don't know what it is. I don't know how they've become what they are and what they do that other bands don't do. Like what is it? What's the secret formula to? And I don't mean like, oh yeah, it's just because they're great
Therapy, I guess.
musicians.
If you
Yeah,
therapy,
yeah,
if you watch some
yeah.
kind of monster,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
just getting really pissed when you're young, and then having therapy when you're still young. Is that it? And then,
Ask
but
Axel. I guess so.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they just such a well-oiled machine, and they came out and they were just Metallica of now. It was a nice big stage setup. They did the opposite of Guns N' Roses, really. They came out with all their yellow cabs and their M72 thing, and Lars with his big yellow kit, the whole 9 yards, and they came out with a Sabbath song straight away off the bat. And it was like, and this is the thing, and I think a few times this happened with bands. And it definitely happened with the first couple of songs with Guns. I think I mentioned it. Is they're almost quite deep cuts
Yeah.
for like you said you never heard of Junior's Eyes, right? Which is
Right.
fine. It's whatever. We're not meant to know every record.
Not every band is Guns N' Roses, where I know every song.
Yeah,
That's just the
and
way it
and
is.
there'll be someone else who's just into Sabbath, just into Metallica, just into Saxon or what something. I'm just trying to think of some random things, Warrior Soul or whatever. And it's just like it's a deep cut. But when I was at that and experienced what I thought was just Sabbath freaks, and then a deep cut comes on, people are like, oh shit, I don't know this. It drops a little bit,
Hmm.
and you're like because Metallica are like, oh my god, this is a great song. We love this song. Why the hell wouldn't we do this song? And Robert's coming out and he's like obviously loving it. He's played with Ozzy, he's plays with Metallica. It's like it's just there's a vibe from him, there's a vibe from Kurt and obviously Lars, the best front man in the world. Yeah, and James is the towering man that is James Hetfield in physical stature and presence. Yeah, and they came out and they did that, and I think it drops a little bit more than I was expecting, but then it just built up and built up and built up again.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they hit, Creeping Death and Battery and Master of Puppets, it's like this is, and I get it. As a Guns N' Roses super fan, whatever, Metallica deserved to go on after
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses this time. And I wonder if that in that picture of Axel and James at the show, if they're like, yeah, maybe it was a good idea you go before me this time. You know, they're that kind of conversation if that happened. But it was brilliant. And then it just came the man of the hour. I mean, this is well, this is going to be a. I was looking forward to having this part of the conversation in addition to the Guns N' Roses part, and I think why we needed to kind of go step by step because it became the event with
Yeah.
Ozzy. Like, oh my, Ozzy now. And I was lucky enough to have seen Ozzy only once. I think it was the 2004 Ozfest, I want to say. So I'm lucky to have seen him once. Knowing you, you've probably seen him like 30 times.
In the past, no, back in the 90s, I think it was. I only saw him once,
Okay.
which is so strange saying I'm a massive super fan, but it just coincided like his tours. I lived in France for a while and I wasn't there, and all sorts of things, and then which is just is crazy when you say it. Um, for me anyway. And then I had tickets for the No More Tours tour. And then he got sick. Then COVID happened. Then they kept your money for ages, and then they gave us it back,
Mm.
and it never happened. So yeah, it was 1990 something. Zach was with him. I think it was the No More Tours tour because uh, Mike was playing bass, Zach was playing guitar. You know, so yeah, it must be in No More Tours time.
Well, now it's no more tours, and this has been a
Yeah,
conversation amongst the music and rock fans for a long time. Ozzy's last show.
yeah,
I
Willie
mean,
Wonky. You know, I even saw a comment today of a guy that just before it was like, "Oh, I bet he won't come out." And so I can't even remember what post it's on. I bet he won't come out. And I saw it today. And it's the one comment I've commented on. I pressed reply and said, "Looks like you owe me money." It looks like you lost your bet.
yeah,
But yeah, so it was palpable energy for when he was, you know, coming on, and what's going on, and how's he going to get on the stage? What's he going to look like? You know, there's all the questions, right?
I'm glad he came up, through the stage, underneath the stage in the chair, because I got to see BB King when he was 86 and he was
Oh
wheeled
wow.
out. He was wheeled out on a wheelchair, then sat in this kind of thrown chair and rocked out for an hour. But I like how he came up like a wrestler, kind of from the stage, which was great. And then it
It's
just it dawns on
Ozzy
you.
making an entrance. Like he's got to make an entrance. You can't just like,
You're right.
oh
You can't just wheel Ozzy out, or
yeah.
you just didn't know how it was going to be. All of this was like, how is it going to be? And even with the set list that leaked and I shared the night before, is this really what's going to happen? And
Oh,
and that's
what did that
fine.
set list say, by the way, before? Because I didn't see the one before. How accurate it was? Do you know?
Oh, it was pretty accurate. Everybody was listed. And it was like going down on one of those rundowns like get for iHeart. I mean, not as
Hmm.
detailed. Remember, it said Doors, Mastodon. I mean, everyone
Oh
had the.
no, sorry. I thought you meant songs that Ozzy was doing.
Oh
Apologies.
no, I did not have
Yeah.
the song schedule.
Yes.
No, that no one had except for the people who work there. But to know that this was like actually Ozzy's final time, and this is something that he wanted to do,
Yeah.
and you're reminded, even though this was a Black Sabbath thing. Ozzy, man, this was an Ozzy thing, maybe more so, and how his music is might even be as iconic. I mean, Black Sabbath, of course, started heavy metal, but
Mm.
Ozzy's songs, man, I think people like if you're like a younger person, you might know more Ozzy's stuff than
Yeah.
Black Sabbath stuff. Because I found myself being, I kept probably lends itself to me not knowing those Black Sabbath albums.
Mm.
I knew more of Ozzy's stuff, his solo stuff than
Yeah.
Black Sabbath. So to hear him sing his songs and right away, because you're right, there are people like who were questioning it because if their last memory of him was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where he didn't really do
Yeah.
anything, he was there, but it was a different. I don't know. He wasn't. This wasn't all about him. That
Mm.
wasn't all about him. That moment was, but this was all about him. He was talking about training and doing whatever he can with his Parkinson's. I mean, what a disease. My father-in-law
Mm.
recently passed away from it with a long
Mm.
battle. Michael J. Fox, of course, still fighting the good fight. It's so you could live a good life, but it's a hard life. And for him to those first few notes was like, holy shit, Ozzy can sing still. I don't know.
So,
Sounds like the record I grew up that live album that I grew up listening to of Ozzy. I forget which one it was, but
Live and Loud, or was it Budokan?
Budokan,
Yeah,
Budokan. Uh, yeah, I'm like, this sounds like him. This sounds
yeah.
like Ozzy. Oh my God.
So we
So
all had exactly the same reaction. It was fear and trepidation, in all honesty, because you don't want him to come out and be bad. You know, you like respect this guy, you listen to it, you bought all his records, I've grown up listening to it. You know, Ozzy is my music, you know, in that respect. And he came out and it was like, oh crap, here we go. Please be good, please be good. And he's the first two notes, you were like, holy shit, he sounds like he did in the 90s. Like, what has he done? And
yeah.
that was first song, Off and Rolling. And the whole crowd within like half a sentence was just like, you could feel it. Like, oh, yeah, man. It's great.
And it's to see Ozzy there, and you can tell. My wife said, "I wonder how much it's killing him that he can't run around the stage because he
You
did."
got that vibe as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure it did, but he knew this
Yeah.
was the only way, and I'm sure he was soaking it all in. And we can go with song by song, and we'll get the Sabbath, but when he goes since Mr. Crowley and uh, Suicide Solution was, I'm like, that was one of my was a song I didn't expect, and
Yeah.
to hear that, but Mama, I'm Coming Home. Was there anybody not crying? I found myself like
I think they were through the whole thing for every song. So
because because you were talking about showing the crowd, they started showing people like and little girls crying
Mm,
during
yeah.
this. And I find myself, maybe because becoming a dad now, it
Mm.
just makes you more of in tune with your feelings, I guess. So I just started getting choked up, and I'm like to my wife, I'm like, people are crying, and she's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, people are crying. And I'm like, I'm telling her this, and I'm like, I'm getting choked up, like, yeah, can you believe it? People are crying, like it's just
What
getting
was
welled
it?
up, and he started crying while singing it.
Yeah, so the first two songs, just to go back a little bit, so he did the first two songs and he was great. He was really, really good. And I think he did himself in slightly because he stopped to talk to the crowd
Mm,
and he just hit, I think it hit him. Like,
mm,
shit, man. And you could hear, the old choked up part. And he was like,
mm,
and I don't think that was from singing, from anything else. I think it was realization of this is it.
yeah.
Like everyone's here. I don't know, it sounds rude. Everyone's here to see me do this because this is it, and I'm experiencing this whole thing, and I love performing. And he's always goes on about I do it because of the fans, the fans, the fans, the energy, the fans.
I
It's
love you all.
yeah, and like as Zach always said, everyone used to say Ozzy was a Satan worshipper, and actually, he probably says God and praise everybody, and he loves everyone more than a preacher
Yeah,
ever has. And you come out converted,
yeah.
from it. But yeah, and that, that means so much to him. And I think he did those first two songs, got a little bit choked up, and he got. I don't know if you saw, he had a spray thing that he kept getting.
Okay.
I don't know what it was, like, but a throat spray, antiseptic, whatever. Uh, and he suddenly was like, "Oh God, I got to have it." And I think that is the got choked up with the emotion. I think if he hadn't have talked, which is not Ozzy, but if he hadn't have talked, he probably would have done the next couple of songs a lot better. Yeah, and he got into "Mama, I'm Coming Home," and you could see it hit him, like it really hit him. And I think that was like you said, yeah, we're watching it in the pit. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it hit everybody, and that's in the moment that Zach came in and did a bit more heavy lifting, and he came up to the mic and started singing a bit more.
Mm,
Because
I missed that. Okay.
yes, Zach is like, if you turned him up a little bit and didn't film him, you'd think Ozzy was singing it.
Zach Sabbath, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Great band. Seen him a couple of times,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
he did a bit of the heavy lifting, but. I don't think they should have just turned him up a little notch, and everyone would have been like, "Oh wow, this is." They probably wouldn't have realised it was him.
I
To be
I
fair,
know, but you said better. I'm glad that Ozzy sang like that. I hope that kind of gets released. That's a moment in time to have him
yeah,
cry and sing that. I mean, these words
very true.
That Lemmy wrote, that he made his voice made famous. Just what a special, and that was I felt like that was everyone's talking about. Okay, is this going to be the biggest event since which I don't think it was. Live Aid is Live Aid. I mean, you can't compare that. But if you're gonna have a moment like anything like Radio Gaga, it's My Mom Coming Home with Ozzy crying. I mean,
Yeah, fair
if
enough.
there's
Yeah.
anything close to that, memorable. So at least for me, I mean, that was just a special thing. And then after when he was done, it's like, all right, let's go. Black Sabbath. Let's punch everybody in the face as soon as War Pig starts happening, man. And you can just see Bill Ward just like, thank goodness, thank God he finally got this moment. And I thought it was so funny. He takes off his shirt. He's an old, bald, fat man. I'm like, yeah, that's all of us, bro.
I tell
He's
you what,
rocking
Bill
out.
Bill came out and he looked like, if you look at all the pre-photos and him just in the day and all of that, he looks like a different man.
Mm.
He looks like a healthy man.
He was in a lot of health issues, all of them.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like he had heart issues from way back in the day, um, and famously had a heart attack when they were recording a record, and Ozzy thought it was a joke and left him.
Mhm.
And he he came out. He looked like a different man. He looked healthy. He looked this and the other, and he came out for the first two and a half songs was Bill Ward, man. Like it was like you can't. Bill Ward is an amazing jazz drummer and he's an amazing big band drummer. And he puts that into what they made as heavy metal. And a blue, he has this blues influence and his jazz feels. And you can get Tommy up playing drums. And he's a great drummer. Mike Borden's a great drummer, but they don't have that aspect because they're great rock drummers. And he has a feel thing. And the second he started, you were like, oh my God, it's Bill Ward. It's not anybody else. It's not Tommy. It's not Mike. It's not insert any other great drummer's name. It's not Isaac because there's these weird feels that he does, and that's from maybe that's because again talking about guitar and bands and stuff like that. Maybe that's the part that I read into a bit more, but you could feel it, And then you've got like the last as I said, the last vampire, Geezer Butler just crushing it. How is that man? What is he? 70? He's a year younger than Ozzy.
How has he
So
been on this podcast? I don't even know how that's happened. No, it's man, just the four pillars of them and Tony Iommi, the cancer battles he's fought through. I enjoy telling my wife the story that we all know about his fingers getting chopped off back in
yes.
the day at the industrial mill. And look at what he's created. And
Mm.
I'm trying during well, all this is happening. By the way, Harrison, of course, he fell asleep during Slayer, and then he wakes up
The
during.
most aggressive part of the
I
day.
know. I'm like, really, bro? Rain and blood does nothing for you. And then he passes out. My wife ends up taking a nap, passing out too, which I didn't know. He starts waking up during Guns N' Roses. And I'm like, hello, can I, it's like, I've been waiting all day to watch this. Can you help me with him?
Waiting all my life for it. What are you on about day? Come on.
Day, all night. I don't know where I am right now. So she was asleep. So I'm holding him. He fell back on asleep. What during Guns N' Roses? I mean, then she came out. She's like, "Who's on right now?" When she woke up, I was like, "I was napping." My Guns N' Roses. Oh, sorry, I'll take him.
Oh,
so,
bless
so
her.
I feel bad because she works hard. We all work hard.
Mm.
If honestly, I was tired, but I was excited to watch this thing all day. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen. I'm learning to take naps now because of anyone who knows who's a dad who understands the importance of naps. So yeah, I'm like when he woke up though, I'm like, hey, look, it's Metallica. Look, it's Ozzy. Look, it's Black Sabbath. Obviously, all of this.
So yeah, whatever.
Baby Shark, Baby Shark. So all of this is going over his head. But it's just I enjoy though that in the future, and it's what we spoke about before with young blood and just making sure that this music lives on, whether the band is the same or not. The rock and roll will never die. People need to understand that. It's the next generation. The Harrison Rexes of the world, the Baby Brownstones of the world, are going to learn about this music. It
Mm.
sucks that most of the people that I like are probably going to be dead by the time he's like 10 or 11. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't want to be that grim. There might be a lot of people gone, but whatever. But I need to teach him. I need to slowly and ingrain that into his brain subconsciously and less of the baby shark. So,
He'll get there.
although
He'll get there.
shout out to Raphael from Brazil who sent me a metal version of Baby Shark, and it's so funny. Harrison's playing with toys or whatever, and I just put it on YouTube. He turns around, he's like, "What's that?" He was enjoying
Know
the
it.
metal.
No.
He goes, "Thank you, Raph." He was enjoying the metal Baby Shark. That helped me a little bit too.
But
So,
the but
yeah.
when Sabbath kicked off, it was a little bit of a video. Did you get that before as
Yes.
well? Yeah. So they had that little video, and then everything went red. The siren started. We all know then it's War Pigs. You know, there's red searchlights going around, and it was one of those moments where I glanced up and everyone had their phone out, and I was like, I don't want to be that dude. I don't want to like. There's a live feed of this. Their footage is going to be better than mine, and I just wanted to take it all in. Of seeing, I think it's 48. I think I've said before, 48,000 people just staring at the stage and just in awe of it. And it was, I was slightly on the side on a seat so I could have a good view of it, a good view of the crowd. Sorry, um, and it's just mind blowing. It didn't matter how Ozzy sang it, how they played it, if it was slow, if it was fast. It was the four guys that started all of that blues band called Earth that changed into being the heavy metal that we called it as an insult, heavy metal to Black Sabbath, to inspiring every single one of those band and every single one of those one of those people in that stadium with a fist in the air. It was incredible.
Back to the beginning, man. Just a sea of black shirts and horns,
Yeah.
man. It was just what it was. And Alan Niven said it pretty well. I mean, he says a lot of things. Whether you agree with his opinion or not, he speaks very well. But I'm going to paraphrase. He said like rock and roll was for the disenfranchised, and you
Yeah.
just felt like it was just like everybody there, from the people performing who were
Mm.
once disenfranchised and now are rock stars, to all of us, the fans, who were just like, this
Yeah.
is us. This is our day to just celebrate and just our music that has just helped us in so many different phases of our life. And we all have our own story. We all have
Yeah.
our own story, which is just makes it so cool. And that it all kind of funnels through music, through Black Sabbath, and obviously here through Guns N' Roses. And it was just a very awesome show with the fireworks at the end. I mean, it was just a brilliant. As a viewer at home, it was the best $30 I've spent in a long ass time. And for you to go, I'm so glad that you got to go, man.
Yeah, it's me
And
too.
the fact that 11 of you trying,
Mm.
and it took another friend, just out of the kindness of his heart, to,
Yeah.
hey, Jason, let's go. And that's how it happens. So fate, and I'm just grateful that you, what you say, you got home at like 4 a.m., right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've,
So
I've, I've had like 4 hours sleep and a gig today.
and a gig today.
And
So
that's,
and
yeah.
this review, which silly me, I knew it was going to be double in size. Because
Sorry.
no, don't be sorry. It's fun. This is what a podcast is for. There are some episodes I keep short, some interviews I keep short, some I keep longer. I guess it all depends. Uh, you could stop and start however you want. I obviously had to stop for my little pee break, so maybe that's a good stop point for for the rest of you. But what I will tell you, since I got some time before we wrap up, some interviews coming up since my wife and son are away, and I actually have time to do this. This is why I'm able to do a 2-hour episode. So, a couple metal. Speaking of being in the metal mood, I'm gonna have a couple metal bands out coming on. The Nocturnal Affair and Lord of the Lost. Have big followings. They will be new to me, so I'm interested in learning about them for Appetite for Discovery. Chips Enough is returning to the podcast, of course, from Enough's Enough. He's actually
Yeah.
going out on tour with a friend of the show, Brandon Fields, a guitarist who is in a Guns N' Roses cover band, Pretty Tied Up, and Chip's going out on tour with them to play Appetite in its entirety. So
Oh, wow.
we're gonna talk about that and new Enough's Enough album, Enough's Enough's album, and Steven Adler is actually going to be on one of the tracks. So that's pretty awesome as well. Carla Harvey and Charlie Benanti, I believe I mentioned that as well. And is there anyone? I feel like because it's so many balls in the air, and I'm glad that I'm getting all these done this week because it's, as
A
you can
busy
tell,
week.
it's no, but the people who watched the last episode with Angry Anderson, like little Harrison just like shows up here and starts asking for Baby Shark in the middle of the interview. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun. I mean, I know it's fun, but while I don't have to coordinate around a toddler and my wife's work, let me get all the interviews out, and because I love doing this, man. I love talking to fans like you. That's offered.
Just want to say actually about that. Thank you for doing these. Yeah, like as people as we started this as a listener and a watcher for many years, way before you used to do it on YouTube. It's great, man. So thank you for doing it and keep it up. I know sometimes you probably think screw this, but we're here, we're listening, we're watching. It's great.
Thank you, because I do think that. I do. I admit it. You're like, why does people care? And then I get messages from people like you, and they happen obviously enough for me to keep doing this for as long as Axel and Slash have been together. If nobody was listening and if nobody cared, I wouldn't do it, even if I had these opportunities. I'm like, if five people are going to listen to my Angry Anderson interview, why would I do it? It'd be weird. But no, I'm very grateful. I hit over 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is
Nice.
I worked really hard on. Shout out to my silent partner Graham from Scotland, who does all my graphics and a lot of my artwork, and helps me now. He helps me edit the videos, like the long form. So if you notice the graphics getting better, it's because of him. He actually has programs that he pays for. I use like the free software that came with the laptop. So any of like the YouTube shorts, the short videos, those are by me. Now all the long form episodes are edited by him. And speaking of which, because they'll be credited in this show summary. But I think, did you send me any video as well for the show or no? I don't think you did.
For this one, no, I didn't.
No.
I
Okay.
probably will, but it wasn't
Okay.
for me.
So that's fine. So shout out though to Ryan Brinkley and to Gavin from Guns to Roses.
Gavin's a great guy. Guns to Roses are amazing.
I saw him. Oh my God. What did I say? I said, I'm like, is that you? I was watching this stream and I was like, where was he? I just texted him. I was like, during Suicide Solution. I was
Yeah,
like, I think I just saw you. He's like on the live stream. I was like, yeah, looking like
yeah, he's pretty
Axel.
much near the front, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, he sent me his video from the Golden Circle, and out of the blue, I didn't ask for it, just out of the blue, because out of his kindness, and also Ryan Brinkley, just a normal listener, sent me
Oh,
his view. So I'm gonna put those over us talking, so people have some visuals of more than just us to look at. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it. So
amazing.
until next time, I mean, who knows, man? I want to do more episodes. Again, sorry I've not been able to do more fan reviews. I love talking to you guys. I've gone over why my schedule is crazy now, but the conversation continues in between the broadcasts on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever. And you know how I before we recorded, I had to post that picture of James Hetfield and an Axel. Now that we're done recording, the end of the episode, 2,000 likes.
Jesus.
I don't get that. I don't get that often. It's wow. This needed to be an extra long episode because this was a great day to talk about Black Sabbath, Guns N' Roses. Oh, God bless Ozzy Osbourne, Black
Yeah,
Sabbath, Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses. Man, just keep this tours coming. If I can't do fan reviews, guys, just keep sending me your stuff anyway. I can share it on social media. You never know, here and there. Maybe I can get a review in, but otherwise, just stay tuned for more interviews. And that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. Now I'm getting choked up. When we see the next one, in the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, I don't know as soon as the word, but you'll see it.
Thanks to the lame ass security, I'm going home.